Chapter 45-53. Suyu rolled his eyes. It's none of your business. And, well, ever since his boss woke up from the car accident, and had felt strange. At first, he thought that it was because his head was injured. Later, he heard from Lady Sue and the doctor that other than some ligaments being pulled, everything else was fine. And Suyu still insisted that he had traveled through time. Or perhaps it was the most popular rebirth. But, there was one thing he didn't understand. Why wasn't Qin Chu at this time? He even investigated Hua Min's childhood. Hua Min had studied in second high school and junior high, and he had entered as the top scholar in the middle school examination. It was said that he had a full scholarship. Not only did he not have to spend money to go to school, but he also had a lot of school subsidies every year. Logically speaking, with his results, he should have been able to go abroad. But why did he study in a third-rate university? It was because something happened to Hua Min's stepfather, and it was related to Qin Chu's family, causing a blood feud between the two families. Now that even Qin Chu was gone, why did Hua Min choose to go to a third-rate university? At this moment, Suyu discovered another surprise. Without Qin Chu, Jingda's tragedy didn't happen. So Jingda was still alive and well in this world, it was just that their lives were a little hard, so they went abroad to work. It was said that they were doing labor service in Africa. They had a 2-year contract, but they hadn't returned yet. Suyu felt that the people and things around him were the same as before. Including Wei Liao and Tang Chuan, including Hua Min's good friend, Zhu Lingling. And was still by his side, and Zhao Qingya, Jian Tong, and Nia Lingxian were still in the company. Then why was Qin Chu's line broken? What went wrong? The more he thought about it, the more his head hurt, so you simply took the opportunity to take an afternoon nap. Before taking a nap, she did not forget to instruct him, help me keep an eye on the 4-drip. If the medicine runs out, immediately find the little nurse named Hua Min to change it. Shaoan nodded and then felt puzzled. His boss didn't even remember the names of the artists in his company. How could he remember the name of a nurse from South Side so clearly? Could it be that, the boss had feelings for her? Suyu fell asleep in a daze. In a trance, he felt someone touch him. He was so frightened that he quickly got up from the ground. Only then did he realize that he had unknowingly found himself on a vast grassland. In the distance, there were blue skies and white clouds. The scene was quite beautiful. And the person who touched him surprised him even more. Master, Suyu was so excited that he almost shed tears. Not only had he not dreamed for a long time, but he also did not expect to see Master Wu. Brat. How is it? What do you mean? How are you doing? Now? It's especially good. I realize that I've transmigrated. Ha. I've returned to the past. Not only am I younger. I've also seen a lot of my family and friends. They're all by my side. Suyu wanted nothing more than to tell Master Wu everything in one go. Hearing Suyu say that he had transmigrated, Master Wu smiled slightly. I'm also dreaming now, aren't I? Master. Suyu touched the amulet around his neck and asked. Not bad. Now you know that you're dreaming. Master Wu smiled. Then was my transmigration also a dream? Shouldn't I be in a nightmare? Suyu quickly asked his biggest question. Master Wu looked at Suyu for a while before speaking. Stupid little donkey, you've already escaped from the nightmare. Suyu was overjoyed. He was so excited that he didn't know what to say. He had indeed escaped. Master, where are you? I'll go find you. I have a lot of questions to ask you. Suyu thought that since he had been reborn and transmigrated, he should go find Master Wu as soon as possible. Chapter 45-54. Kid, stop looking for me. You won't be able to find me. Why? Master Wu didn't answer. Instead, he glanced at the amulet on Suyu's neck and the red string on his wrist. Well done. Remember to bring these 2 things with you at all times. With that, Master Wu's figure started to fade. Master, I still have a lot of questions. Suyu was extremely anxious, but Master Wu's figure was gradually blurring. At the last moment, he only heard Master Wu say 2 words, parallel world. Master. Master, don't go. Suyu woke up abruptly amidst the screaming. Boss, did you have a nightmare? And quickly poured a glass of warm water and handed it to him. Suyu looked up at the ceiling. It was still the ward at South Side. It seemed like it was just a dream. He panted and drank the warm water in big gulps. And, where's my phone? Madam said that you haven't been resting much recently, so she doesn't want you to play with your phone. Cut the crap, give it to me. And didn't dare to say anything. He took out Suyu's phone from his pocket and carefully handed it over. Suyu turned on his phone with one hand and opened Baidu. After hesitating for a moment, he typed in another word, parallel world. Then, all the information was displayed. The multiverse was a theoretical collection of infinite or finite possible universes. The treasury contained everything that could exist, including all space, time, matter, energy, and the laws and constants of physics that described them. When Suyu was in school, he wasn't very good at science. He had even connected light bulbs to a series of explosions in physics class. Therefore, to him, what he found was like a duck listening to thunder. He couldn't understand it at all. Then, Suyu continued reading. Below was the principle of parallel worlds explained in plain language. He probably wouldn't be able to understand those quanta and molecules for the rest of his life. However, there was one sentence that he understood. Some scholars use this analogy when describing parallel universes. They might be in the same space system but have different time systems. It was like 2 trains running on the same track. There was another kind of parallel universe where the time system was the same but the space system was different. It was like a car running on the upper and lower floors of an overpass. When Suyu saw this, he more or less understood. However, he was still a little confused. He continued reading and saw that it was written at the bottom. When 2 parallel worlds met, some people would suddenly appear, some people would leave forever, and some people would find true love. The cracks in space-time, the parallel worlds, and the terrifying time, because there was no future, no one could predict the future. Seeing this, Suyu was once again confused. He put down his phone and closed his eyes. His mind was racing. He thought about everything related to the parallel world. Why did his master tell him about the parallel world in his dream? Could it be that he hadn't transmigrated? Or had he transmigrated to a parallel world? There was no Qin Chu here. The closer he got to the truth, the faster his heart raced. He wasn't a straight-A student and there were many things that he couldn't understand. At this moment, Huamin came in to change the last bottle of medicine for him. He opened his eyes and looked at Huamin for a while before saying, Huamin, I have an academic question to ask you. I heard that you used to be a straight-A student. Huamin's hand that was changing the medicine paused for a moment. Then, he glanced at Suyu. You know quite a lot. Chapter 45-55. After changing the 4-drip, Suyu gave a look. And tactfully left the ward. Take a seat. Suyu smiled at Huamin. No need. Tell me what you want. I'll go to the cafeteria to get food later. Huamin still looked arrogant as he crossed his arms. She was clearly a nurse, but she acted like an attending doctor. Her aura was really unparalleled. Have you heard of parallel worlds? After Suyu finished speaking, Huamin laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? Is there any other way for you to pick up girls? Is it fun to talk to me about such a profound topic? That's really not it. Although I do want to hit on you. I'm sincerely asking this question. Please enlighten me. Suyu didn't notice that Huamin's face was slightly red when he said this. Suyu was probably the only person in the world who would dare to say that he did want to hit on her. Ahem. Huamin coughed lightly. Miss Nurse, please enlighten me. Looking at Suyu's pitiful expression, Min believed that he was just curious and didn't mean to start a conversation with her. There was no doubt that Min was a straight-A student. Therefore, when she explained the parallel universe, the theory behind it was similar to Baidu. So you still didn't understand. What I mean is, you'd better explain it to me in a simple way. Otherwise, I might not be able to understand. After all, I'm a bad student. Min was speechless. Min was helpless. He pushed up his black glasses and asked Suyu, let's put it this way. Have you ever had this feeling before? It's like going to a strange place. You've never been to that place before, but you feel that it's familiar. Suyu nodded desperately. He had indeed had this feeling before. As for what kind of state of mind he had been in at that time, he couldn't really describe it. In short, it was very subtle. Also, when something happens, you also feel that it happened before, but you can't remember it. Yes. I've had this feeling before. Suyu nodded his head vigorously. He felt that Min had hit the nail on the head. Then, Min continued, another kind is when you're looking for something. You clearly remember where you put it, but you can't find it anywhere. Then, a few days later, you inexplicably find it there. I do, I really do. I remember that my phone was on the sink once. I couldn't find it no matter how hard I tried. I thought I lost it, so I bought a new one. When I woke up the next morning to wash up, I found my phone on the sink. I couldn't find it no matter how hard I tried. It's amazing. Suyu was extremely excited because he had experienced all the phenomena that Min mentioned. Min nodded. Yes, although this situation hasn't been scientifically proven, many scientists have proposed the theory of space-time overlapping and peaceful worlds overlapping. Suyu was confused. In other words, the you in the parallel world has been to that place. So when time overlaps, you will have an impression. However, you didn't go there in this world because the you in the parallel world has been there. So you have an impression. It's the same when you lose something. Because at that moment, the parallel world overlaps and your things are taken away by the you in the parallel world. After the overlapping time passes, your things will naturally return. Of course, this theory is a little ridiculous. Just take it as a joke. Min, then do you believe in parallel worlds? If I say that I'm Suyu from the parallel world, would you believe me? Suyu looked at Min and stared at her. Perhaps she was the only person he trusted in this world. Chapter 45-56. Min looked at Suyu for a while before replying calmly, then if I tell you that I'm a beautiful girl from Pandora, Min, would you believe me? Suyu was speechless. You can't stop taking your medicine. After saying those words, Min turned around and left. Suyu almost laughed out loud. This wretched girl is still the same as back then. Even her lines are so similar. You can't stop taking your medicine. What a mocking sentence. However, how could Suyu be angry? He didn't even have time to coax that ancestor. Although Suyu found the parallel world unbelievable, if he thought about it carefully, perhaps this was the only way to explain it. If it was just a simple transmigration, it was impossible for Qin Chu to not exist. Could it be that there really is a parallel world in this world? Suyu searched for information about parallel worlds online for a long time. He only put down his phone when his eyes were tired. At that moment, he suddenly had an idea. He took out his phone, opened WeChat, and posted on his WeChat. Suyu was a lazy person. Moreover, men were not as emotional as women. They would post whatever they thought. Therefore, Suyu's WeChat was relatively clean. He opened it and took a look. The last time he posted on his WeChat. It was 3 months ago, at a public event at Imperial Star. He posted a link. Suyu opened his WeChat and slowly wrote, in a parallel world, there might be another you. He is doing things that you don't dare to do and living the life that you have always wanted. In less than a minute, he had already received countless likes. Suyu didn't even know who some of the likes were. Tang Chuan, Lord Su, you've become pretentious, but I still love you so much. Su Yu replied to Tang Chuan, get lost, you pervert. Wei Liao, a car accident created a philosopher. Su Yu replied to Wei Liao, keep mocking me. Just you wait. Zhao Qingya, what's wrong, Mr. Su? In a bad mood? Jian Tong, no matter how many parallel worlds there are, no matter how many of you there are, you will always be the king. Lady Su, son, tell me what you want to eat tonight. Su Yu glanced at them and was too lazy to reply to them. As he lay in bed, he once again thought of a serious problem. If this was a parallel world, there should be another Su Yu. Then, where did this world Su Yu go? After all, he was an outsider. Could it be that the Su Yu here had died in the car accident? And he had switched souls, and stayed here? The more he thought about it, the more his brain burned. Thus, he decided not to think about it anymore. Su Yu covered his head and prepared to rest. At this moment, they heard a commotion at the door. Miss Zhao, the boss is already resting. Don't lie to me. The boss just posted it on his WeChat moments. You stinky bodyguard, don't be so ungrateful, okay? I'm the boss's sweetheart. Obviously, Zhao Qingya, that brainless girl, had an argument with an at the door. Then, she barged in without a care. And, let her in, Su Yu shouted. And pursed his lips. Zhao Qingya became even more arrogant. Did you see that? President Su already said to let me in. Just wait for your bonus to be deducted, country bumpkin. Zhao Qingya was currently very popular. Other than Su Yu, she didn't care about anyone else. Even her best friends said that she was the woman most likely to marry into the Su family. Therefore, she was momentarily overjoyed. He didn't know if Zhao Qingya did it on purpose or not. She came in the middle of the night wearing only a silk dress. It was nude pink. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, and she wore Korean-style eye makeup. She even sprayed a classic Burberry perfume. She was still carrying a Hermes bag, but the style had changed. President Su. The moment she spoke, her voice gave people goosebumps. Chapter 45-57. Su Yu, on the other hand, looked calm. He leaned against the bed, still playing with his phone. President Su. I miss you. I can't sleep. Didn't I tell you not to come? Su Yu said calmly. His eyes were still on his phone, as if he was playing a game of Candy Crush. But I really miss you. You've been living here for so long. I haven't seen you in a long time. There were only the two of them here, so Su Yu knew what Zhao Qingya wanted to say. Stop. Su Yu looked up. President Su. Zhao Qingya pouted and began to act coquettishly. Zhao Qingya, let me ask you. Do you want to continue being a celebrity? Of course. I do. Zhao Qingya was stunned by Su Yu's sudden question. Su Yu really wanted to find someone to tie this woman up and feed her to the sharks. After all, Zhao Qingya had done so many evil things. Whether it was in a dream or in reality, Su Yu didn't have a good impression of this woman at all. However, Su Yu controlled himself and told himself that this was a parallel world. Zhao Qingya didn't know Huamin yet, so she hadn't done anything to hurt Huamin. If you want to stay at Imperial Star and continue being popular, and continue to make money, from now on, stay away from me. Most importantly, don't be a bitch, President Su. Zhao Qingya was stunned. What was wrong with Su Yu? He wasn't like this before. Don't ask why. I'm not in the mood to explain so much to you. Anyway, from now on, you're an artist under my company. Other than that, we have nothing to do with each other. You're not allowed to use me to create hype, or else I'll cut you off. When Su Yu said cut her off, he meant freezing her. For celebrities, the scariest thing was to be frozen and banned. Hearing Su Yu's words, Zhao Qingya was surprised, angry, and wronged. However, on the surface, she didn't dare to disobey Su Yu. I understand, President Su. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's. It was obvious that she felt wronged. She thought that she could keep Suyu interested in her for a while with her ability, but he got sick of her after just a few days. Could it be that the rumors were true? Did President Su's interest in that bitch, Jian Tong? Zhao Qingya's words, Suyu's words. I'm warning you, don't do anything that's out of line. Whether it's with the other artists in the company or something else, your path to stardom is pretty good right now. If you cause a scandal, I won't let you off. Yes, President Su. I'll remember it. Okay, you can leave. Don't come here again. You can talk to the vice president about work matters. There's no need to meet alone in the future. Su used the president the other hand Zhao Qingya, the other hand, the Su were the other, S were they hua, Su see the Su people S Su's the other of, St he had finally dealt with a troublemaker. He looked at his watch and saw that it was already 11:30 p.m. Suyu wasn't sleepy at all. He searched for Huamin's WeChat. He tried to add Huamin with his previous number, but it wasn't his. Only then did he realize that Huamin's WeChat wasn't his phone number. Suyu tried to add Huamin with his WeChat, and it was still the same number. Huamin's profile picture was the same as before. It was a picture of him on campus. Suyu added Huamin, and the note read, I'm your husband. Add me. 3 minutes later, Suyu received a rejection notification from Huamin. Chapter 45-58. Other than rejecting him, Huamin also added, I'm your mother. Husband? Mother? That's a good match. Suyu couldn't help but chuckle. He thought about how Suyu was like this in the past. Because they met at South Side, he was deeply in love. In the beginning, he had investigated Huamian's background. Later, he had challenged Qin Chu. Now that he thought about it, it was extremely childish back then. Because from the beginning, Suyu had already lost the moment he challenged Qin Chu. He could work hard to be more powerful than Qin Chu, richer than Qin Chu, have more material things than Qin Chu, and love Huamin more than Qin Chu. However, he neglected the most important thing at the time. And that was that love was mutual. In this world, there had never been a pair of true lovers who were both in love. Suyu was passionately in love back then, so no matter what he did, it was all wishful thinking. To Huamin, no matter how rich Suyu was, no matter how much power he had, and no matter how much he loved her, it was all useless because she didn't love him. To Huamin, even if Qin Chu wasn't the president of GK, wasn't the only son of the Qin family, and didn't have a 360-degree face that could topple the world, Huamin would still love him. Because he was Qin Chu, the only man Huamin had ever loved in her life, Suyu once thought that if he were to transmigrate, he would have to transmigrate back to when he was young, preferably when he was in kindergarten. Only then would he be able to know Huamin longer than Qin Chu. Therefore, when Suyu thought that he had transmigrated back to the past, he was quite upset. Because as long as Qin Chu was around, he would always be the one who lost miserably, even during those 4 years when Qin Chu was recuperating in the United States and disappearing. Suyu took care of Huamin and her mother meticulously for nearly 4 years. However, it couldn't compare to Qin Chu's, I'm back. Therefore, after experiencing all this, Suyu already knew his limits. However, he never thought that he could transmigrate to a parallel world. A parallel world where there was no Qin Chu, only Huamin. Suyu's heart was filled with excitement and ecstasy. He even felt that he had sacrificed so much in exchange for this incomparably precious opportunity. If it's not a dream, if it's real, then he would die, here, his friends, his family, just like before. The only one missing was Huamian's beloved Qin Chu. Suyu slowly pulled her thoughts back to reality. He added Huamin, grand aunt, add me. I don't have a grandson as old as you. Thank you. Huamin rejected him again. Suyu knew that with Huamin's personality, she wouldn't add someone she wasn't familiar with just a few words. At least for the current Huamin, she still didn't know Suyu. Therefore, Suyu didn't want to be impatient and scare her or pressure her, because he had a lot of time. He had a lifetime to chase after her and make her fall in love with him. In the other world, Suyu wanted to ask Huamin more than once. If there was no Qin Chu, if I appeared first, would you fall in love with me? However, Huamin didn't answer because the hypothetical question itself didn't hold water. Now, in this parallel world, everything had really happened. Suyu had to use his entire life to prove. Without Qin Chu, would Huamin still fall in love with him? Early morning. As Suyu was in a good mood, he woke up early. Then, his mother brought the maid to deliver a sumptuous breakfast. Mom. Yes? You don't have to come over tomorrow. Don't bring me food anymore. Why? Lady Su was slightly startled. I want to eat in the hospital. Isn't the food in the hospital bad? Lady Su remembered that her son had complained before that the food in the hospital was like pig's food. It's not good. That's right. Isn't that a good way to lose weight? Suyu smiled. Lady Su couldn't help but laugh. Child, why do you need to lose weight? Health is the most important thing. At this moment, Huamin came in with a tray. Suyu, it's time for the infusion. Chapter 45-59. Okay. I'll be right there. Suyu immediately put down the meat bun in his mouth and took the initiative to extend an arm for Huamin to inject. Lady Su was so surprised that her jaw almost dropped. Mom. I'm having an injection. It's not good to have too many people in the room. It's too messy. Go out and wait for me. Suyu blinked and sent his mother and An away. Before she left, Lady Su did not forget to take another look at the nurse. She felt that she was really average looking. At the door of the ward. And, yes, madam. Has young master been acting strangely these 2 days? Yes, a little. Tell me about it. Lady Su held a white dye-fei bag and sat demurely on a bench in the hospital corridor. And scratched his head. How should I put it? Anyway, young master has been suspicious recently. Something is indeed wrong. Maybe it's because he's bored lying in the hospital. Do you know the girl who gave young master the injection? It's Miss Hua. She's been giving young master injections recently. She's just a caretaker? And nodded. I guess so. She was handpicked by young master. Handpicked? When did this happen? After young master woke up, did young master say anything about how he treats Miss Hua differently? After all, Lady Su was Suyu's mother, so she knew her son well. Although her son was used to fooling around, she could still tell who he was interested in. After all, Suyu was an impatient person and could not hide things in his heart. It's different. Maybe he interacts more with her. Sometimes, when Miss Hua comes to inject young master will deliberately tease her. What's Miss Hua's background? Lady Su continued to ask. And hesitated for a moment. He didn't know if he should tell her. Tell me what you know. Don't hide anything from me. Yes, madam. Miss Hua's background is very simple. She has a younger brother, and they live in the slums of the east side. Their living conditions are not very good, but I heard that Miss Hua is a straight-A student. She didn't pay any tuition fees since junior high, and she received scholarships every year. She graduated from the local medical university. However, because she doesn't have any connections and didn't get in through the back door, she's still a nurse. What an amazing woman. All right, I got it. You still have to take care of the young master's matters. Don't worry, madam. I will protect young master well. Shaoan was an honest man. He had followed Suyu for a long time, and Lady Su liked him very much. Inside the ward, Miss Nurse. You're so educated. Why are you only a nurse? I think you're qualified to be a doctor. While Suyu flattered him, Huamin lowered his head and carefully organized the equipment. I don't have any connections or money. It's good enough to be a nurse. Isn't it good to have insurance until retirement? But I think if you become a doctor, you'll benefit the country and the people. Suyu continued flattering him. Huamin raised his head and looked at Suyu. You sure know how to talk. To be honest, if you want to be a doctor, I can help, no need. Before Suyu could finish his sentence, Huamin directly rejected him. That's not the salary of a doctor. Your income will be many times higher. I heard that you majored in obstetrics and gynecology in university. Don't you want to be an outstanding obstetrician? Upon hearing Suyu's words, Huamin's eyes flashed. He was obviously tempted, but, according to what you said, what I need is money. It's so complicated for me to work so hard to be a doctor. I might as well find a rich man and marry him. It'll be more practical, Huamin teased. Okay. Then marry me. I'll definitely be a rich man. Suyu took advantage of the situation. Chapter 45-60. I can tell, but it's not old-fashioned enough. Move aside. After being scolded again, Suyu wasn't discouraged because he was already mentally prepared. Hey, Huamin. What? Has anyone told you that your eyelashes are beautiful? Suyu looked at Huamin's face with a serious expression. After hearing this, Huamin reached out to touch his forehead. Stop fooling around. My eyelashes are so short that I can't even see them in the mirror. It's because they're so short that they're special. I'm tired of looking at the thick eyelashes of those flirtatious bitches outside. I like short ones. Huamin, Suyu had a feeling that the conversation was going to die as they talked. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He carried the tray and walked out. Miss Nurse, please wait. What are you doing now? Huamin was so angry that he was almost speechless. The person staying in this VIP ward was simply a weirdo. My mom won't send me food starting this afternoon. Can you help me order some food from the hospital's cafeteria? I just want you to pack one for me after you finish your lunch. Is that okay? The food in the cafeteria is delicious. It's okay. I like bad food. Huamin, the food in the cafeteria isn't cheap. I can't use my meal card. Huamin got straight to the point. I asked my assistant to add 100,000 yuan to your meal card. Is that enough? Huamin, fuck, of course, this foul language was said very softly. What's wrong? Not enough. Suyu asked deliberately. Brother, this money is enough to eat until the day our hospital goes bankrupt. If you have 100,000 yuan, why do you still eat in the hospital's cafeteria? The best private restaurant in the city, Li Ji, delivers food every day. It doesn't cost 100,000 yuan. Huamian felt that there was something wrong with the young master of the Su family. Something was seriously wrong with him. But I don't like to eat Li Ji's private home cuisine. Alright, up to you. Huamin didn't want to continue talking to this crazy tycoon. He would go crazy. Huamin came from an ordinary family. It wasn't easy for Uncle Jing to earn money. 2 years ago, her mother fell ill and was hospitalized for a major operation. The family was already in debt. Uncle Jing had no choice but to go to Africa for labor and hadn't returned for 2 years. However, this crown prince could easily top up 100,000 yuan in the hospital's meal card. What kind of existence was this? After Huamin left, Suyu was in a good mood. At noon Huamin came to deliver food. She was quite honest. Seeing that prince had a lot of money, she ordered 8 dishes and 1 soup. The whole ward was filled with pig trotters. When Suyu saw these dishes, he was also dumbfounded. Soy sauce pig trotters, steamed pork shoulder, red braised pork, black fish stewed with tofu, iron pot veal, fried chicken thigh, green pepper fried meat, lion head. This. Doesn't the patient need to eat something light? It's so greasy. Is it okay? Suyu didn't expect Huamin to be so honest. The 8 dishes were all meat. He was full just by looking at them, let alone eating. You injured your leg, not your spleen and stomach. It's okay. Eat. I'll try to help you spend the 100,000 yuan as soon as possible. Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Come and eat with me. No, why? I think you're dirty, Suyu, look at you. You haven't washed your face or shaved for days. You're so ugly and unhygienic, Suyu, let's go. Eat slowly. Tell me if it's not enough. I'll get more. No, it's enough, my dear. After Huamin left, Suyu called An, who was at the door. Boss, what can I do for you? Take these and go out with the bodyguards at the door. Eat them all. What about you? And touched his head. Chapter 45-61. I just took a look at these dishes and I'm full, Suyu said. Ha 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 ha. Boss, you're so funny. Don't laugh. Get out. Suyu sent An away with all the greasy dishes. Only then did his stomach feel better. His leg was fine. In fact, the doctor had already said that he could be discharged. It was Suyu who refused to leave. He was flirting with the girl he loved every day. He was speechless. In the evening, an uninvited guest came to the hospital. He was an uninvited guest because Suyu's heart turned cold the moment he saw him. Hua Xiqian still liked to wear pink. Logically speaking, such a feminine color shouldn't look good on a man. However, this man was able to hold himself back. Hua Xiqian had short brown hair and was wearing white casual pants and a light pink suit. He was also holding a fruit basket in his hand. It was a strange sight. He had a smile on his face as he walked down the corridor. The nurses couldn't help but scream when they saw him. Huamin was playing with his phone at the on-call desk. His head was lowered and he didn't see him. It was Hua Xiqian who took an apple from the fruit basket. He placed it beside Huamin's hand. Sister Mian, I'll treat you to an apple. Huamin looked up and saw that it was Hua Xiqian. His face darkened. Take it away. I don't want it. Eat it. Eating more fruit is good for your skin. With that, Hua Xiqian left before Huamin could say anything. He carried the fruit into Suyu's room. When Suyu saw him, his expression was extremely complicated. This was because Suyu wasn't the original Suyu in the parallel world. He was the Suyu who had transmigrated from another world. Therefore, he carried all the memories of the other world. As for Hua Xiqian, he was once the common enemy of Suyu and Qin Chu. This big pervert had once abducted Huamin to live on a deserted island for many days. During that time, Suyu and Qin Chu almost went crazy. Suyu was only pleasantly surprised that Qin Chu was not in this world, but he had neglected the existence of Hua Xiqian, a big trouble. One had to know that his obsession and love for Huamin was no less than Suyu and Qin Chu. It was just that his method was too perverted. What are you doing here? Seeing Hua Xiqian, Suyu felt very unhappy. What are you talking about? As a partner of Imperial Star, I'm here to see President Su, no need. Brother Su, you're being very cold to me. What's going on? Is it because a small artist under your company has jumped ship to the Hua Corporation? After being ignored by Suyu, Hua Xiqian was confused. After all, they had been drinking together a while ago. He didn't have a good relationship with Suyu, but they weren't enemies either. Only then did Suyu adjust his emotions. He couldn't make it too obvious, in case he exposed himself. Look at you, a big man wearing colorful clothes like a peacock. Aren't you embarrassed? Suyu lectured him. Hua Xiqian lowered his head and glanced at his suit. I've been wearing this since I was 18. There's nothing wrong with it, buddy. You came to see a patient with this crappy fruit basket? Aren't you embarrassed? You're the vice president of the Hua Corporation. Then what do you want? Hua Xiqian laughed. Aren't you going to send me a red packet? Suyu waved his phone. Is this considered extortion? Hua Xiqian laughed. No, I'm clearly asking you for it. Okay, then I'll send you 888 yuan to shut you up. Hua Xiqian helplessly took out his phone. Transfer 2 more 8s, or I'll look down on you, Hua Xiqian. Sure enough, so you had more face. In the end, Hua Xiqian transferred 5 8s. Then, he didn't forget to say, hurry up and take a screenshot and post it on your WeChat moments. Let everyone see how good I am to you. Suyu ignored him and replied, Hua Xiqian, I don't have a problem with business cooperation, and I don't have a problem with you calling me brother, but, let me tell you, don't touch Hua Min, or I'll kill you. Chapter 45-62. Hua Xiqian looked at Suyu and smiled. Hua Min? You've fallen for her. Stop fooling around. I'm not fooling around. I'm telling the truth. You better listen to me clearly. Suyu finally came to a parallel world without Qin Chu, and he didn't want to lose to Hua Xiqian. Then, Hua Xiqian burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? Suyu was quite displeased. Hua Xiqian lowered his head, and his laughter was incomparably pleasant. Suyu, are you crazy? I, Hua Xiqian, can have any woman I want. I wouldn't be so desperate as to commit incest with my sister, right? She's not your biological sister, Suyu replied. Isn't having the same father a biological sister? Did you hit your head? Hua Xiqian was speechless. Weren't you adopted? When did you get married? Suyu was in a hurry and told him that Hua Xiqian was adopted, but after that, he blamed himself. Even a cripple couldn't tell the truth. This was unintentionally a shortcoming for Hua Xiqian. To his surprise, Hua Xiqian wasn't angry. Instead, he laughed out loud. Lord Su. I think this car accident really hurt you. Even if you're the president of an entertainment company, you can't casually spread rumors. Hua Min's mother is my father's ex-girlfriend, and they broke up and gave birth to her. There's nothing wrong with that. My grandfather married my mother to Hua Min in order to unite with the Hua Corporation and give birth to me. There's nothing wrong with that either. Hua Min and I have the same last name and the same father. So, don't worry, even if all the women in the world died, I wouldn't have any improper thoughts about my sister. After Hua Xiqian said this, Suyu was stunned. Then, what about Shinjiani? Where's Hua Yanyan and Hua Si? Suyu asked. Who? Hua Xiqian didn't seem to have heard him clearly. Shinjiani, Hua Yanyan, and Hua Si, Suyu repeated. I've never heard of these people before. Suyu, are you dreaming? Suyu, fine, I won't talk to you anymore. I came to see you out of the kindness of my heart. Not only did you blackmail me, you even slandered me. You're not suitable to be a boss, you're more suited to be a paparazzi, haha. Oh right, I've taken a liking to one of the female artists your company signed. If you don't want to do it, I'll do it. Hua Xiqian waved his hand and stood up to leave. Before he left, he even made a teasing remark. Suyu didn't know what was going on. Suyu quickly called him in. Boss, what's the matter? Whose son is Hua Xiqian? Suyu asked out of the blue. The old chairman of the Hua Corporation. Hua Zhenghai. Isn't he adopted? Suyu raised his head and looked at him with a sharp gaze. Ahem. Boss, where did you hear this from? Young Master Hua is the son of the Hua family. There are also rumors that Miss Hua is also Hua Zhenghai's daughter, but it hasn't been confirmed. All these years, Miss Hua and her mother haven't had any contact with the Hua family. Other than that, does Hua Zhenghai have any other children or wives? No, I don't know if he's a mistress, but young Master Hua is his only son. Suyu had a lot on his mind. Boss, did you hear some gossip from someone? Is it accurate? The Hua family is a prestigious family, we can't talk nonsense. Be careful not to get sued. And reminded Suyu in a low voice. Suyu's mind was in a mess. He sorted out the sources of the information. In other words, in this world, Hua Min and Hua Xiqian were half-siblings, and Hua Yanyan and Hua Si didn't exist at all. This is really good news, and, huh? You look very handsome today. And. Chapter 45-63. And coughed awkwardly and said, Boss, although you've been good to me for the past few years, I still have something to say to you. Go ahead. Holding his cell phone, Suyu lowered his head and played with it while listening to an, I don't like men, and said. Yeah, me too. Then just now, damn. Are you thinking too much? I said you were handsome today, so it means I have feelings for you. Why don't you look at yourself? Suyu almost jumped up and blew Anne's head off. What was this guy thinking? How could he think that he was interested in him? Ha ha ha, I misunderstood. It's good that you're not. Hearing that he had misunderstood, and immediately grinned, revealing his 8 teeth. You're so stupid. Everyone says Lu Yen doesn't like you. Huh? Lu Yen? Who's Lu Yen? Suyu suddenly realized that he had let the cat out of the bag. He wasn't sure if Lu Yen existed in this world. From the looks of it, Mian might really be Hua Jinghai's biological daughter. In other words, there was no conspiracy in Dong Tao Town. Without Professor Lu, there would be no Lu Yen and Xiao Fei. Without Qin Chu, there would be no Rick and Qin Ning. Then what about Tang Chuan's wife? Although he had discovered the benefits of this world, he gradually realized that he had lost many people. What made Suyu feel the most conflicted was, without Qin Chu, Hua Min wouldn't have married Qin Chu. This was a good thing. However, without Qin Chu, there would be no twins in the future. Suyu's heart ached at the thought of the 2 innocent and cute children. The appearance of Little Bean and Pudding had made his life much happier. In the beginning, when the little ones were born, he did his best to treat the children well because of his love for them. He wanted Hua Min to be touched and the children to like him. But later on, after taking care of her for so long, she really treated her as her own. Suyu could guarantee that his love for the twins was no less than Qin Chu's. However, there would no longer be twins in this world. Boss, your mood has been changing a lot recently. One moment you're happy, the next you're sad. What's wrong? Just treat it as if I'm on my period. Suyu said. And was speechless. I've only heard of women having menstruation, but I've never heard of men having menstruation. Cut the crap. Get out, I'm going to sleep. The next morning Suyu's leg had almost recovered. When the attending doctor came to visit in the morning, he specifically told Suyu that he could get out of bed and walk slowly to exercise. He did not see Hua Min today because he did not need an 4 drip. Suyu's heart was restless. He was not in the mood to eat. With Anne's help, she walked slowly in the corridor and then went to the back garden of the hospital. However, she saw Hua Min talking and laughing with an unfamiliar man. Suyu desperately searched through his memories. He realized that the kid was actually a soldier introduced to Hua Min by the old man in the ward next door. Instantly, he was filled with anger, and, go back and bring me my phone. Suyu took the opportunity to send it away. Okay, boss, thank you here. Don't wander around. After and left, Suyu limped over. When he walked nearby, he heard the kid talking to Hua Min. I heard that you broke up with your ex-boyfriend a long time ago. Have you considered starting a new relationship? I'm in the army, so I can apply for my wife to follow the army and live in the family building. However, your job might have to change. We also have a military hospital there. I can find some connections and arrange for you to go in. What do you think? Before Hua Min could reply, Suyu rushed up. Chapter 45-64. You keep talking about connections. As a former soldier, I feel embarrassed for you. Does your family own the army? You can transfer anyone you want. The blind date looked at Suyu in confusion. May I ask, who are you? My surname is Su. My name is Yu. Suyu was a little anxious and angry, so he introduced himself like a gangster. You're Suyu. The man must have heard of this name before, so he wasn't surprised. After all, the Su family was second only to one person in the military. Suyu, are you crazy? What are you doing here? Huamin was very embarrassed. He glanced at the patient he didn't know well. You're the one who's crazy. You have a boyfriend. Don't you think it's shameful for you to go on a blind date? When did I? Huamin was about to say something. Suyu interrupted him again. You're just arguing with me. Isn't it normal for couples to argue? You can't go on a blind date just to piss me off. Forget about the blind date. Can't you find someone better? You even like a company commander. Is there something wrong with your eyes? Do you need me to get you a pair of glasses? Suyu, you bastard. Huamin was about to go crazy. That guy understood what was going on when he heard this. Then, he turned to look at Huamin. Miss Hua, so you have a boyfriend. Then you shouldn't have gone on a blind date with me. You shouldn't have lied to my third grandpa. He told me that you're single. I'm single. Huamin wanted to explain, but Suyu interrupted him again. Mian, stop fooling around, okay? I'll go home and kneel on a durian. Don't make me angry. You know how much I love you. We can't lose face in front of outsiders. If you have something to say, let's go home and talk behind closed doors. Motherfucker. Who's talking behind closed doors? Suyu, you must be out of your mind. Huamin, a genius with a sharp tongue, was disrupted by Suyu at this moment. He wanted to explain, but he couldn't. Obviously, his blind date was a little angry. Since that's the case, I won't disturb the two of you any further. Take your time. The blind date knew her place and left. Hey, listen to me, it's not like that. Huamin still wanted to say something and wanted to chase after her, but Suyu grabbed his arm. Mian, don't leave, sleep your ass. Huamin turned around and shoved her hard, probably because he was angry. Suyu immediately fell to the ground. His legs were already inconvenient to begin with. Now, the fall was even more unsightly. The moment he landed, Suyu deliberately shouted, "Ouch, it hurts. It's over. My legs are really going to break." Huamin was about to leave when he saw Suyu screaming. He couldn't bear it. Are you okay? Are you dead? If you don't help me up, I'll die. Huamin was furious, but he couldn't bear to leave Suyu here. Therefore, he went forward and used his weak body to help him up. This was the first time Suyu was so close to Huamin since he transmigrated to the parallel world. When their bodies touched, he could even smell the unique fragrance on her body. Suyu suppressed the passionate love he had for Huamin deep in his heart. He looked abstinent, afraid that he would be too impatient and scare her. Why do you look like you have a deep grudge? If you don't want me to help you, you can walk on your own. Huamin raised his head and looked at Suyu, who was so close to him. No, I'm willing. Sorry to trouble you, chief nurse. Suyu smiled fawningly. Chapter 45-65. I'm repaying evil with good. You ruined my blind date just now. I shouldn't have cared about you and left you to fend for yourself. Huamin said angrily. You should thank me. That guy doesn't look like a good person. If you get together with him and he abuses you, you'll be pitiful. How do you know he's abusing you? Do you know him? I know how to read people's faces. Really, he's not the right person for you, Suyu said in all seriousness. Huamin was so angry that she laughed. Suyu, don't try to play tricks on me. Reading people's faces. If you really know how to read people's faces, why didn't you help yourself? Why did you get yourself into a car accident? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old who's listening to you? Plus, if he's not the right person for me, who is? All the girls at Southside want to find a good boyfriend. Why can't I? Then you can find someone better than him. It's so hard for you to be with a little company commander. I know my place. A company commander is good, and I'm not some socialite's daughter. That's enough for me. If you don't hold your head high, how are you going to make your ex regret? I heard that Ning Ziyuan is going to marry a nurse. That nurse is the mistress who came between you two, right? You investigated me? Hua Min stopped in her tracks angrily and glared at Su Yu. Of course not. I heard the nurses at your hospital gossiping. You know that the First Hospital and South Side are chain hospitals, so you know what's going on there. I heard it by accident, don't misunderstand me. No matter what Ning Ziyuan does, it's all in the past. What does it have to do with me? Even if he marries the mayor's daughter, it's none of my business. Hua Min was still the same as before, as if she was from another world. She looked like a pretentious prick, calm and collected. She always looked like it had nothing to do with her, so you almost hugged her just now. This Hua Min was so familiar, this was the Hua Min he had loved for so many years. Then you can find a better boyfriend to piss him off. I can't find one. I'm not that good. I can introduce you. Su Yu smiled. No, thank you. What do you think of me? Su Yu volunteered to ask her. To be honest? Yes, to be honest. You're really nothing much. Bad temper, picky food, blabber a lot. You look like a sissy. Most importantly, you have too many women, like a stud horse. Although Hua Min didn't like to gossip, he had heard a lot about this man's romantic history in the past few days in South Side. When Su Yu was in a coma in the hospital, there were at least 80 women who came to visit, if not 100. Famous actresses, female hosts, models, socialites, and even the daughters of the fourth-generation officials were all here. Therefore, Hua Min felt that he couldn't afford to offend a big shot like Su Yu. Moreover, he didn't have a high opinion of him. He didn't like men who had too many women. He was a playboy by nature. Ahem. What you see isn't me, that's just on the surface. You have to understand the real me deep down. I'm the most affectionate man in the world. Su Yu promised Hua Min with a serious expression. Don't talk nonsense. I'm still the most beautiful woman in the world, Hua Min teased. In my heart, you are. Su Yu blurted out. At that moment, Hua Min was slightly stunned. She realized that when Su Yu looked at her, there was something wrong with his gaze. It didn't seem like he was flirting with her. Chapter 45-66. Hua Min had always been a girl with a high EQ and IQ. She vaguely felt that the way this man looked at her was a little strange. The reason why it was strange was because she saw deep love in this man's eyes. But how long had this man known her? She had been hospitalized for less than 10 days. How deep could he be? Hua Min never believed in love at first sight. She once joked with Zhu Lingling that love at first sight wasn't about feelings, it was about looks. As long as you were good-looking, most men would fall in love at first sight. In Hua Min's heart, she believed that love would grow with time. Unfortunately, the person who could make her fall in love with time didn't appear. From middle school to high school, she had been pursued by many boys, but she was rejected by all of them. Hua Min wasn't a beauty at first sight. She was just delicate and pretty. But once you got to know her, you might be attracted to her personality and personal charm. A top student like her was like a god in the eyes of many bad boys. Unfortunately, those men weren't Hua Min's type. After she went to university, Ning Ziyuan pursued her for 3 whole years. For 3 years, he helped her fetch water, get food, and clean the classroom. Hua Min didn't care about Ning Ziyuan's rural background and poor family background. She thought that he was quite reliable, but men were always like this. They looked at what was in the pot and ate what was in the basin. After graduating and working for less than half a year, Ning Ziyuan had an affair with a young nurse. Hua Min was glad that she didn't have any physical intimacy with him. In the end, they broke up. Although he pestered her a few times, Hua Min rejected him. She always thought that she was an outstanding person, but in the world of love, she always seemed to lack something. In the past, she hated blind dates. Later, when she came to South Side, many patients took the initiative to introduce her. Over time, Huamin silently accepted them, but Su Yu's appearance was like a sudden clap of thunder that disturbed her originally peaceful first half of her life. Su Yu, what is your goal? She asked him. What purpose could I have for asking such a question? You didn't come to South Side to get close to me, did you? No. Su Yu shook his head. There are so many hospitals in the city, why did you come to South Side? I heard that your hospital has good facilities, a good environment, and a lot of girls. Huamin, stop fooling around. I came to South Side because of the first-rate equipment and first-rate doctors. Then why do you seem to be targeting me? Huamin was not stupid. She had a feeling that Su Yu was up to something when he asked her to perform acupuncture and accepted it too frequently. How am I targeting you? I clearly like you, I don't believe you. What are you plotting? Miss Huamin Mian, what do you think I want from you? Tell me, what do you have? Huamin remained silent. She indeed had nothing, compared to Su Yu, who had a prominent background. Huamin's background was nothing. Did he ask you to come to me? Huamin lowered her head. Her eyelashes looked beautiful from this angle. Who is he? Su Yu was confused. Hua Xiqian. He's been trying to contact me, but my mom and I won't forgive him. He's the modern version of Chen Shimi, a scumbag. Huamin commented on her biological father. Yes, in the parallel world, Su Yu had investigated thoroughly. Huamin was Hua Xinghai's biological father. Therefore, there was no Professor or Lu Yen here. It's not him. I don't care about that old man. Su Yu smiled slightly. Chapter 45-67. Forget it, I'm not going to talk nonsense with you. Go back to the ward and rest. Huamin decided not to continue talking nonsense with Su Yu. He felt that he was a glib talker who never spoke the truth. With Huamin's help, Su Yu walked faster than before. And originally ran back with the phone to give it to his boss. Then, he saw from afar that his boss was being supported by Huamin. He immediately knew his place. He immediately found a place to hide. After Huamin helped Su Yu back to the room and left, he jumped out. Boss, you're flirting with the nurse again. What do you mean again? You make it sound like I've been flirting with her all the time. Su Yu rolled his eyes at an boss phone. And obediently handed over the phone. Su Yu took it and immediately opened it to look at WeChat. Huamin still didn't add him. Boss, yes? Are you interested in that nurse? You can even tell, Su Yu replied absent-mindedly as he played with his phone. The entire hospital can tell. It's so obvious. And pouted. Is there a problem? Su Yu looked up at an, forgive me for being blunt, but that nurse isn't very good looking. She doesn't seem to be your type. What did I like before? Su Yu asked in amusement. And rested his chin on his hand and thought for a moment before saying, you used to like women who are good looking, have big butts, big breasts, have long hair, big eyes, can act coquettishly, can coax people, can dance, and can sing. Was I that blind in the past? And, anyway, I won't like women like that anymore, Su Yu promised seriously. Then Miss Zhao, Miss Jian, and the others, none of them are my type. So, boss, you're interested in the nurse and want to woo her? How many months do you plan to keep her fresh this time? And felt that it might be because the boss had never been in contact with the nurse industry and found it novel. That young nurse also always dissed the boss. That was why he was so interested. But according to the boss's bad temper, he would probably get sick of it in a few months. At that time, he would have to change again. Unexpectedly, this time, Su Yu said, this time, I plan to stay fresh for the rest of my life. No way. Don't tell me you're going to get married? And was puzzled. No. I'm going to have a baby. And almost vomited blood when he heard this, give birth to children? This was a topic that the boss didn't want to talk about before, because everyone knew that Suyu didn't like children. When he saw other people's children, he didn't find them cute. He didn't even have the interest to tease them. Lady Su had once said that she wanted Suyu to get married and have children as soon as possible. At that time, Suyu said that he did not believe in marriage and would not have any children. He hated those naughty people. Now, he took the initiative to say that he wanted to have a baby with the young nurse. Shaoan felt that his brain capacity was not enough. Boss, did someone cast a spell on you? I think we should find someone to take a look at you. Take a look. I'm fine. Alright, cut the crap. You can go out. I'm going to take a nap. Suyu was in a good mood. After An left, he talked to Wei Liao and Tang Chuan in the group for a while before taking a good nap. At the on-call desk. Mian, why do I feel like young Master Su is interested in you? Another nurse looked at Huamin with envy. That's impossible. We all know what kind of person Suyu is. He's just teasing us because he's bored. We can't take it seriously. Mian, I think this is a good opportunity. If you have something to do with Suyu, you don't have to be a nurse anymore. Look at those female celebrities at Imperial Star. Which one of them isn't worth tens of millions? Chapter 45-68. After hearing these sour words, Huamin smiled slightly. He's worth tens of millions, it's fate. I'm just a commoner, I don't want so much. Mian, this is an opportunity for you. No, I'm a person who knows my place. Young Master Su, a big shot with a halo, is really not suitable for me. Huamin and her colleagues were just chatting, but they were speaking from the bottom of their hearts. Everyone loved money, but it also depended on what kind of money it was. Suyu's family background was far inferior to Huamin's, not to mention that she was living with her stepfather and brother. So what if she returned to Hua Xinghai's side and was recognized as the daughter of the Hua family? Even if she was a socialite, she might not be happy if she married Suyu. These rich second-generation heirs had been able to do whatever they wanted since they were young. To them, women were just accessories. It was probably faster than changing clothes. Huamin and Zhu Lingling were friends since they were young. Now that Lingling was a flight attendant, she could occasionally come into contact with the rich. A few of Lingling's colleagues married into good families. They weren't considered rich, but they were only worth tens of millions. What kind of life were they living after marriage? They were all people who lived by their mother-in-law and father-in-law's whims. If she didn't have money, it wouldn't be easy for her to marry into a rich family. When Huamin was an intern in the obstetrics and gynecology department at the first hospital, she had seen a rich young madam with her own eyes. When she gave birth, she wanted to perform a C-section because her belly was very big. It was obvious that the child wasn't small. However, her rich mother-in-law said that a normal birth was better for the child and didn't agree. She insisted on a normal birth, and didn't let the woman's husband sign the papers. In the end, the woman lost a lot of blood, and both the mother and child died. Then, the family came to the hospital to cause trouble and extorted 50 million yuan. What a jerk. After seeing through the fickleness of those rich people, Huamin didn't expect to find a rich husband. She only hoped to find someone who was nicer to her and her family. She wanted to live a peaceful life, so she didn't want to have anything to do with Suyu. Suyu's foot was almost healed, and he was not far from being discharged. Once Suyu was discharged from the hospital, he would probably forget about her and never come back. Huamin didn't want to be delusional, therefore, in the face of everyone's jokes, he just laughed it off. Inside the ward, Suyu was thinking about how to get in touch with Huamin more. But he didn't want to arouse her suspicion. After all, this little girl was too smart, they would be alerted to the slightest disturbance. Suyu wouldn't tell her directly that he was another Suyu from a parallel world and that in that world, he loved her so much that he couldn't help himself. That's why I transmigrated here to start anew with you. Let alone Huamin, no one would believe such words, right? After thinking about it, Suyu decided to hide everything first, then, he would catch up with Huamin first. Recalling that in the other world, Suyu had a high fever, and Huamin stayed with him for a while. Suyu went to the bathroom to take a cold shower. When he came out, he was freezing. Not only that, he even took the opportunity to turn on the air conditioner. The cold wind was very strong. In an instant, a cold wind blew, and Suyu kept sneezing. Achoo, achoo, boss, why are you turning on the air conditioner? What are you doing? When In came in, he saw Suyu sitting on the bed with a blanket draped over his body. His hair was wet. He kept sneezing. Ah, I'm training my immune system. No way. You're courting death. If Madam sees this, she'll scold me to death. Don't do this, and was scared out of his wits when he saw his boss torturing him like this. Chapter 45-69. It's fine. Madam won't be able to see it because I've already called my mother and told her not to come over for the next few days. I have to deal with work at the hospital. Smart. And suddenly felt that his boss's brain had become much sharper after the car accident. So, what should we do now? And panicked when he saw how drenched his boss was. Go to Huamin and tell him that I have a fever. Miss Hua again. And shook his head helplessly. He didn't know what was wrong with his boss, but he fell for the nurse at South Side. Huamin had been on duty all night and was about to get off work when he packed up in the morning. And hurriedly ran over. Miss Hua. What's the matter? My boss has a fever. Go and take a look. I'm off work. But my boss has a fever, then you can go to another doctor and a nurse who's on duty. Huamin was extremely calm. After all, Suyu was a man, so it wasn't a big deal for him to have a fever. Boss doesn't want anyone else to give him an injection. He said that their skills aren't good enough. He only wants Miss Hua to do it. It's fine. The fever isn't that bad. There's no need for an injection. He just needs to take some fever medicine. Huamin continued to pack his things. He took off his white coat, put on his coat, and prepared to leave. My boss also said, if Miss Hua is willing to help him reduce his fever, he'll give you an extra 5,000 yuan for overtime. Of course, Suyu didn't say that. However, and felt that if he didn't say that, Miss Hua probably wouldn't go. As expected, Huamin stopped when he heard the 5,000 yuan for overtime. If that's the case, I'll go with you. After all, Suyu is my patient. It's not good to see him have a fever, right? And muttered behind Huamin. You make it sound nice, but isn't it all because of the 5,000 yuan for overtime? Although An had made the decision for the 5,000 yuan, he felt that his boss wouldn't blame him. With how obsessed his boss was with Miss Hua. Not only would his boss not blame him, but he would also reward him. In the end, Huamin arrived at Suyu's ward. However, she was wearing a casual outfit because it was almost time to get off work. Huamian's clothes weren't expensive, but each one of them was decent. At the very least, they suited her and were comfortable to look at. Do you have a fever? Ah. I feel. It's a little cold. Suyu was covered in a blanket. Check your temperature. Huamin took out a thermometer. Open your mouth, she said Suyu. Tst Huamian put it in and ordered, shut up. Take it out in 5 minutes. Tss not to. Ttst what ttt. She took off her coat and hung it on the hanger. She placed her bag beside the bed and walked straight to the bathroom. And took the opportunity to come up to him and whispered, I told you, she'd only come if you gave her 5,000 yuan for overtime. Otherwise, she would have already gotten off work. Well done. Suyu was elated. And looked at her and realized that he had made the right move. Suyu took out her phone and secretly transferred 10,000 yuan to An, 5,000 yuan for me to give to Huamin later. That 5,000 yuan is your reward. Also, you can leave now. Come back when Huamin leaves. Don't be a third wheel here. An was speechless. It seemed like his boss was starting to dislike him. And walked out of the room with his phone. Huamin unscrewed the wet towel and glanced at Suyu. Lie down. Suyu obediently lay on the bed. Huamin placed the towel on his forehead. Dr. Hua, thank you. I'm not a doctor yet. I'm a nurse. You'll be a doctor sooner or later. No, you'll be the director sooner or later. Suyu smiled like a flower. Chapter 45-70. Thank you for your kind words. When I become the director, I'll waive your bill if you come for treatment. Pfft, what do you mean, Huamian? Why would I come for treatment? You jinx. Huamin laughed so hard that he couldn't straighten his back. Then, he looked at Suyu. Not bad, your brain isn't fried yet. You're not stupid. I'm smart. Why would I be stupid? Suyu looked at Huamin with disdain. Huamian skillfully pulled the thermometer back from Suyu's mouth before it was about to fall off. Then, she glanced at it. Wow, it's indeed amazing. It's already 38.5 degrees. What do you mean? Is that high? Suyu looked at her eagerly. Yeah, it's quite high. You have to take some fever medicine. Didn't they say that fever medicine hurts the kidneys? I don't want it. So, do you want to burn into a fool, or are you worried about your kidneys? Huamin crossed his arms and looked at this guy helplessly. He knew that he had a lot of girlfriends and even more rumored girlfriends. How could he be worried about his kidneys when he had a fever? Then I'll burn into a fool. After all, my kidneys are very important and must be protected. Suyu's cheeky smile was obviously teasing Huamin. Stop talking nonsense, take the medicine. Otherwise, I'll give you an injection. It'll stab your butt, do you want it? Huamin deliberately tried to scare him. No, I won't do it even if you beat me to death, so, injection or medicine, which one do you choose? Can't I get in 4? Suyu hated the medicine that he had to take in handfuls. It smelled so bad. And 4 is fine, but in your current state, you'll probably need 3 bottles to get your fever down. If you want medicine, a drop of suspension will be enough. Huamin spoke as if he was coaxing a child. Suyu was suddenly very touched. Huamian was a kind person. No matter what kind of patient she was with, she was very professional and patient. Sure enough, even if she wasn't Professor Lu's daughter, she wasn't that talented. However, she was still the woman that Suyu loved the most. His initial feelings had not changed. Even though he had transmigrated to 2 different worlds, it was all the same. The name Huamin was Suyu's lifelong belief. Ahem. I'll leave it to you then. I don't really understand either. Of course it's good to take medicine. The side effects are small and the effects are quick. Wait for me to get the medicine. Here's your money. Suyu picked up his wallet and was about to flip through the money. She suddenly thought of something and said with a smile, I don't have any cash. Add me on WeChat and I'll transfer the money to you. Huamin looked at her faintly and said, no need. I'll pay for it. Then, he turned around and left handsomely. Suyu, Huamin guessed that it was probably something that didn't cost much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so straightforward. However, her intentions were clear. Did she not want to add him on WeChat? Why was it so difficult? Suyu took out his phone and asked in Wei Liao and Tang Chuan's private group chat. Suyu, hey, you too. Tell me, how can I get a girl to add me on WeChat? Wei Liao, oh? You weren't rejected, were you? Tang Chuan, that can't be. Which girl here doesn't know Lord Su's name? If you take the initiative to ask for his WeChat, how many lifetimes of fortune would that girl have accumulated? How could she reject you? Suyu, ahem, she rejected you. Wei Liao, ha, I'm interested in her. I want to see what kind of woman can reject Suyu. Tang Chuan, that's right, that's right. Lord Su, am not an ordinary person. The name Suyu represents supreme power, money, status, and a prestigious temperament that many people don't have. Suyu, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and think of a way. Suyu's domineering aura rose again. Wei Liao and Suyu in this parallel world were exactly the same as in that world. Therefore, Suyu really didn't have any grudges and treated them as good brothers. Chapter 45-71. Suyu's incident seriously aroused Tang Chuan's gossipy nature. He was so excited that he stopped typing and started chatting through voice messages. Tang Chuan, Lord Su, let me tell you, there are many ways to get a girl's WeChat. For example, you can say, "Girl, my phone is out of battery. Can you lend it to me? I'll call my family and say that I miss them." Then, when you call, the girl will definitely avoid you. Can't you just secretly add yourself? Suyu, Wei Liao, why don't you pretend that you're lost when you go out for a walk? Go to the place she frequents and ask her how to get back to the ward when she passes by. Then, no matter what she says, you don't understand anything. Just tell her to add me on WeChat and send me your location. I'll navigate back. Suyu, is that stupid? Tang Chuan, ha, it is stupid. Wei Liao, aren't you asking a stupid question? Suyu, fuck. You two are messing with me. The ship of friendship is gone. Suyu was so angry that he stopped chatting with them. He felt that he had two immoral brothers who would tease him from time to time. After he put down his phone, Huamin happened to come back. She was holding the medicine in her hand. This method is very simple. You just have to take the first drop out. Then, if you feel that the taste is strange, you can drink some water. Suyu took the medicine from Huamin. He did not dare to touch her hand, but when he held the small medicine bottle, he could feel the warmth from Huamin's palm. Under Huamin's gaze, Suyu obediently drank the medicine and 2 mouthfuls of water. Then, he lay down. Although his body was still burning up, Suyu felt very sweet and happy in his heart. He had to admit that staying in this parallel world for the rest of his life was the happiest thing. After taking the medicine, Huamin did not leave. She was probably afraid that Suyu would feel uncomfortable, so she sat down on the chair next to him. She took out her phone and connected to the hospital's wireless network. Then, she turned on the video and watched the drama very seriously. While Huamin was watching the drama, Suyu was sneaking glances at her. When she looked over, Suyu pretended to play with his phone. After about 10 minutes, the room was very quiet. There was no noise at all. Huamin was wearing headphones. Suyu couldn't help but put down his phone. I say, what kind of TV show are you watching? A Descendant of the Sun. Huamin said. Suyu had never watched this drama before. As a tough guy, he basically did not watch Korean dramas. But he would occasionally take a look at Train to Busan. Suyu was a hardcore fan of Marvel, so he liked Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, and Captain America. When he went to the cinema, he would only watch Marvel's hero series. He did not understand this Descendant of the Sun at all. However, he would not criticize his girlfriend for watching brainless dramas like other men. After all, everyone had their own preferences and rights. Especially this Descendant of the Sun. In another parallel world, when she first met Huamin, Huamin was also watching this drama. She seemed to be very obsessed with the male lead, a Korean star named Song Joong-ki. Suyu suddenly felt very emotional and touched. He also understood that this parallel world was 5 years in the other world. It was the place where Suyu met Huamin. It was the place where Suyu's dream began. What's wrong? Do you feel uncomfortable? Huamin carefully saw that Suyu's eyes were a little red. My eyes are a little uncomfortable. Can you help me blow on them? Suyu wanted to hide his excitement, but he accidentally used the most old-fashioned way to flirt. However, Huamin believed him. Chapter 45-72. Because she saw that Su-yu's eyes were red. She thought that he really wasn't feeling well. Therefore, Hua-min put down her phone, stood up, and walked over to Su-yu. She was very close to him. Su-yu suddenly felt his heart race. It was a sense of nervousness. Hua-min gently lifted Su-yu's eyelids, and took a look. It was indeed a little red. Are there eyelashes inside? Su-yu asked with a smile. No, it's probably some solidified dust or something. After speaking, Hua-min blew on his eyelids seriously. Su-yu felt the familiar scent of her body wash over him. He felt extremely happy. After blowing on his eyelids a few times, Hua-min stood up. I'll talk to the head nurse about this ward later and ask her to get someone to clean it up and disinfect it properly. Don't worry. I'm not worried. You're going to be discharged soon, right? Hua-min asked casually. I don't want to be discharged. Why? Hua-min was surprised. Su-yu was probably one of the weirdest patients in the hospital. Many patients became irritated after a few days and clamored to go home. However, Su-yu actually didn't want to go back. What was going on? Because you're here. Hua-min was stunned again when she heard this. Then, her face turned slightly red. Even though she knew that Su-yu was a man who was very popular with women and was a playboy, he still said it so directly to her face. Hua-min was still embarrassed. When Ning Ziyuan pursued her in university, he only cared about her silently. He accompanied her to the study room and accompanied her to the cafeteria. That was why she was gradually moved. However, Ning Ziyuan would never say something so direct. Therefore, Hua-min was suddenly a little uncomfortable. You're blushing? Ha. Su-yu was in a good mood. Hua-min put on his headphones and lowered his head to continue watching the TV series. Then, she suddenly said, Do you know the consequences of flirting with a nurse? I don't know. It's best if you don't know. If you know, I'm afraid you'll be traumatized. Huh, you're trying to scare me. Do you think I grew up scared? Su-yu laughed. Hua-min took off one of his headphones and glanced at Su-yu. Since you're so brave, there's a ward next to the morgue. Do you want to move there? Su-yu was left speechless by Hua-min's rebuke. However, he felt extremely happy to be rebuked by Hua-min. 30 minutes. Hua-min looked at his watch. When he felt that it was about time, he put his phone away. Then, he touched Su-yu's head and found that his fever had subsided. Then, he inserted the thermometer into Su-yu's body again. Let's try again. If the fever subsides, you can sleep peacefully for a while. Thank you, Mian. Su-yu said it very smoothly. It didn't feel awkward or out of place at all. However, Hua-min felt awkward when he heard it. All these years, other than her parents and brother, very few people called her Mian. Ning Ziyuan basically called her Hua-min Jr. However, Hua-min always felt that Su-yu was very familiar with him, as if he had known him for a long time. According to the books, some people feel déjà vu the moment they meet. Hua-min probably felt that way, although he didn't know why. However, he felt very comfortable and familiar with Su-yu. Although they would argue with each other, it was all a joke. Are you stupid? What are you thinking about? Seeing that Hua-min was stunned, Su-yu stretched out 5 fingers and waved them in front of her. Only then did Hua-min come back to his senses. He realized that he had been distracted for a moment and was still a little scared. Su-yu, have we met before? Hua-min asked him. Why do you ask? Because I feel like you look a little familiar. Hua-min tilted his head and looked at Su-yu seriously. Chapter 45-73. When Su-yu and Hua-min looked at each other, their eyes seemed to freeze for a moment. He had 1,000 words to say, but he couldn't seem to say them. In the end, Su-yu smiled. Is that how it feels? Meeting you for the first time is like meeting an old friend. Hua-min actually nodded slightly. I think it's probably because the two of us were fated in our previous lives. I feel that you must have owed me a lot in your previous life, to make up for it in this life. What did I owe you? Hua Min was serious. You owe me money, probably. If you pay me back now, I don't mind. Hua Min was speechless. Su Yu, you're shameless. You're a super rich man. How can you extort a nurse with a salary of 4,000 yuan a month? Do you have any morals? I have to pay back what I owe. Su Yu continued to tease her. Then I'll burn gold ingots to pay you back. Hua Min was also sharp-tongued. Fuck. Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This girl's personality hadn't changed. At this moment, Hua Min thought of something and took out the thermometer from Su Yu's mouth. Then, he smiled slightly. Your temperature is normal, your fever is gone, that's great. Okay, after I leave, if you still feel a headache, put the thermometer in your mouth and continue to check your temperature. If you have a high fever, you'll have to take this medicine. Because if it's the viral flu, you might have a recurring fever. You have to be careful. Okay. Then I'll leave first. Don't. You've been busy so late and haven't eaten. No, I'm on a diet. What's there to lose? It's like pork ribs. No, you have to eat something with me before you leave. Do you have anything to eat here? It's so late. If I order takeout, it'll be delivered very late. I won't wait. Hua Min got up and put on his coat. He was about to leave. It was already 9:30 p.m. It was indeed quite late. Most of the patients had already gone to bed. It's fine. Isn't there a kitchen in this VIP ward? Don't tell me you want me to cook for you. I'm exhausted. I'd rather not eat and go home to sleep. Hua Min looked at Su Yu and asked nervously. I'll make it for you. Give me some time. After that, Su Yu got out of bed and went straight to the kitchen. Hua Min looked at Su Yu's back in shock as he jogged away. This guy's physical fitness is not bad. He's already so lively even though his fever has just subsided. Su Yu saw that Su Yu had good intentions, so he didn't leave. He sat down and continued watching the TV series. About 30 minutes later, Su Yu brought out the finished dishes one by one. There was actually freshly cooked rice, and the rice was placed on an exquisite plate. Next to it was a broccoli and a piece of abalone. This, abalone with rice, don't worry. The abalone is fresh. My mom sent someone to deliver it this morning. It's been in the fridge. Then, before Hua Min could say anything, Su Yu rushed into the kitchen. He brought out spicy codfish and a plate of steamed crabs. Then, there was mustard fungus and a stir-fried ham with cucumber slices. There were 4 dishes and 2 servings of rice with abalone. This wasn't a casual meal. The cost of this meal was extremely high. Su Yu's food had to be fresh every day, so the Su family would send someone to deliver ingredients every morning. The hairy crabs were very big. Hua Min once saw them on an online store. A crab of this size cost 3,000 yuan. Su Yu steamed 4 of them at once. That was 12,000 yuan. A dish cost more than 10,000 yuan. He wasn't eating food, he was eating money. You're making too much of a fuss, Hua Min said. Let's eat. I'm starving. After speaking, Su Yu immediately picked up a hairy crab and placed it in front of Hua Min. How did you know I love crabs? You love all kinds of seafood, right? Su Yu asked with a smile. How did you know? Hua Min looked at him warily. Chapter 45-74. I'm confused. Ha ha ha. Then, Su Yu revealed a harmless smile. Hua Mian was stunned by what she saw. She even felt that Su Yu was in a good mood every time he was with her. As for the specific reason, she didn't know why. Could it be that this playboy was just trying to flirt with her? Hua Min was confused, and completely confused. She slowly ate with Suyu. Suyu didn't eat much himself. He kept putting food in Huamin's bowl. Huamin had been busy for half the night and was indeed hungry. Therefore, he didn't pretend and just ate as much as he wanted. He ate a lot of prawns and crabs and felt that he hadn't eaten so much in a long time. Due to the drastic changes in the seasons in the north, seafood was often extremely expensive. Other than during the New Year, the family basically didn't buy it. Her mother, Yang Meirong, was very good at housekeeping. She would try her best to cook some home-cooked dishes for her and Jixin. However, the seafood he ate today was different from usual. She heard that Suyu's food was all shipped by air, and the shipping fee was shockingly high. However, Lady Su didn't even frown. It was obvious how much Lady Su loved her son. "What are you thinking about?" Suyu asked her. "I'm thinking, your mother is so good to you." "Of course, haha, my mother has doted on me since I was young." Suyu was proud. "Are you also a scary mommy's boy?" Huamin looked at him seriously. Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Beauty Hua, please listen carefully. Although my mother is good to me, it's completely a normal mother's concern for her child." "What are you thinking? A mommy's boy?" "If I were a mommy's boy, wouldn't my mother be in charge of the company and I'm in charge of eating, drinking, and playing? But the truth is, my mother is just a housewife. She doesn't participate in any of our companies. She's only responsible for our daily lives. She's a very virtuous woman, and she wouldn't raise me into a mommy's boy. I joined the army when I was a teenager, and I was even in the special forces. Do you think I'm a mommy's boy?" Huamin only asked one question, but Suyu was about to jump. Finally, she smiled. "What are you smiling about? You don't believe me?" "No, I'm just laughing. Why are you explaining to us so seriously? We're not friends." Huamin's simple words, but they pierced Su's heart. In the other world, Mian seemed to have said the same thing, but Suyu only felt a stabbing pain in his heart, and it was extremely uncomfortable. Now that the same feeling struck him again. Suyu wasn't even in the mood to eat. He silently put down his chopsticks. Huamin noticed his abnormality and quickly asked, "What's wrong? Why did you say something so hurtful?" Suyu looked at her. "Huamin, I thought we knew each other, at least as friends. I didn't think you didn't treat me as a friend. I feel like a fool who thinks too highly of himself." Seeing Suyu's lonely expression, Huamin couldn't bear to see him like this. "No, Suyu, don't misunderstand, that's not what I meant," Huamin quickly explained. "Then what did you mean?" "What I meant was, your family background and status are so prominent, your friends are all rich and powerful. How can I be your friend?" Huamin lowered her voice, feeling guilty. "If I can make you rich, then you can be my friend, right?" Suyu suddenly had an idea. "How?" Huamin looked at Suyu with chopsticks in her mouth. "Marry me, and you'll be the daughter-in-law of the Su family." "Fuck you, you're not talking seriously." Huamin lowered her head and ignored Suyu, quietly eating her seafood. Chapter 45-75. I'm telling the truth, Suyu desperately wanted to express her feelings. "What are you talking about? You just had a fever. Sleep early. I'm leaving." Huamin stopped eating and got up to put on his clothes. "You're leaving so soon. What else can I do? Do I have to stay here? Then I have to tell them to add an extra bed. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep in a single bed. Suyu, don't think that I won't beat you up just because you're sick. Do you understand?" Huamin raised her fist and threatened him. "You're welcome to beat me up, but I put a lot of money into my insurance company. If you get hurt anywhere, you'll have to pay hundreds of millions in compensation. Think about it, you can sell your house, your land, and your furniture. Then, your family of 4 will work for our company for the rest of your life and see if you can pay it back. If you can't, you can let your kids pay it back. I don't mind waiting for a long time. Damn it. You're Huang Shuren. You're a black-hearted Zhou, but I have a good idea. If you marry me, you'll be my wife and your kids will be my kids. This way, we'll call it even. After you marry me, you can beat me up however you want. I won't say a word. Su Yu took the opportunity to confess again. However, in Hua Mian's eyes, her confession was nothing more than flirting. After all, she had only known Su Yu for a few days. Okay, you're good at talking. I'm tired. I'm going to go home and sleep. I have a morning meeting tomorrow. Okay, I'll ask my assistant to drive you home. No, I'll rent a car and leave. Hua Min waved her hand. No, it's too late. It's not safe. Just listen to me. If I don't feel safe, I'll drive you home myself. Don't. Just lie down. Your leg is injured. Then I'll ask my assistant to drive you home? Su Yu asked her. Okay. Unable to dissuade Su Yu, Hua Min had to get in Anne's car. And drove a black Lamborghini 6th Element. It was said that this car was Su Yu's favorite. Those female celebrities, including Zhao Qingya who had been in the limelight a while ago, were not qualified. Because of Su Yu's eccentricity, this was also the first time the 6th Elemental sat on a woman. If it weren't for the fact that Su Yu's legs were really inconvenient, he would have driven them himself. How could it be Xiao An's turn? Hua Min sat in the front passenger seat and fastened his seatbelt. After An got into the car, he didn't start the engine. Instead, he said to Hua Min, Miss Hua, this money is for you. What money? Hua Min was slightly startled. The 5,000 yuan overtime pay that I promised you, forget it, I really didn't come for the 5,000 yuan. If I wasn't in the right mood, I wouldn't have come even if you gave me 50,000 yuan. Your boss might be the most despicable and immoral person, but I can tell that he doesn't have any bad intentions. His high fever is real, and it's not a big deal for me. I don't want this money. That won't do, Miss Hua. If you don't accept this money, I won't be able to explain it to my boss. And looked troubled. It's okay, just accept it. I won't tell Su Yu. Just take it that I've accepted it. Hurry up and drive, okay? I'm really sleepy, okay. And didn't know what to do, but he still didn't give her the money. Previously, he thought that Hua Min was a realistic woman who would work as long as she was paid. She wasn't a good person. However, from the looks of it, she was a very reliable person and wasn't greedy for money. And subconsciously felt a sense of respect for her. When Su Yu returned from driving Hua Min, he threw 5,000 yuan in cash at his boss's bedside. What do you mean, Master An? Are you hiring me to be your assistant? Su Yu teased him on purpose. No, boss, it's the 5,000 yuan that Miss Hua confiscated. Mian didn't confiscate it? Why? Su Yu was stunned. Chapter 45-76. Xiao nodded, then explained the entire situation to Lin Yun. If it was any other assistant, he might not have said anything. After all, Hua Min wouldn't say anything either. Su Yu didn't know where the 5,000 yuan went, but An had been with Su Yu for several years. They were very close. Although they were master and servant on the surface, they were actually brothers. After An said this, Su Yu's face turned cold. Boss, don't be angry. I'll stuff it in Miss Hua's pocket tomorrow. No, I just think you're very stupid. So stupid that it's scary. And, ? Why did you have to give her cash? Couldn't you have forwarded it on WeChat and added her WeChat? Could I still use your WeChat to chat with her, and, do you remember her address? And shook his head. I really want to slap you to death. Idiot. Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although An was reliable, he wasn't very smart. Therefore, he would only do his job well and not think about anything else. And was so scared that he didn't dare to say anything, you can keep the 5,000 yuan. I already have 5,000 yuan, boss. I'll give you the 5,000 yuan too. Mian doesn't care about it anyway. You can be willful when you're rich. By the way, have you been playing Shake Shake recently? Yeah, how did you know? And looked at Suyu in confusion. Boss, you didn't peek at my phone, did you? This is my privacy. Do I still have human rights? Shaoan also knew that he was anxious. Am I such a tasteless person? Look at your WeChat moments. What's all of them? And silently took out his phone and opened his WeChat moments. They were all forwarded things. Some were about health, some were news, and even more ruthlessly, he didn't forward things that weren't from China. Most of them were domestic disputes about the South China Sea and the Diaoyu Islands. And was also from the army, so it was good to be a patriotic person. However, these were all his WeChat moments. It was indeed a little monotonous. After hearing Suyu's words, and felt guilty and didn't dare to say anything. Let me tell you. Don't pay attention to Shake Shake or the people nearby on WeChat. Alright. If I find out that you're disobedient, you can go home. Don't be my assistant here, Suyu said seriously. That's so serious. I don't think so. I'm in my 20s, and I want to find a girlfriend too. I don't want to be a single dog for the rest of my life. The boss only needs to set fire to himself and forbid the common people from lighting candles. How overbearing. Fuck, that's not the case at all, okay? I'm doing this for your own good. Just listen to me. Alright. Even though he was unwilling, he still listened to what Lin Feng said. In fact, Suyu didn't reject the idea of using WeChat to chat with the people nearby. After all, there were some good ones. But in the other world, Shaoan had suffered such a loss. He had been cheated out of a lot of things by an innocent-looking girl. Perhaps that girl had figured out his background and knew that he was Suyu's assistant. She kept flirting with him. Later, they even talked about marriage, but she still ran away and took away a lot of Anne's hard-earned money. And was really willing to spend money on his girlfriend. Moreover, Suyu didn't mistreat him. Anne's income was already more than 20,000 yuan. In a city like the north, 20,000 yuan a month was already very impressive. Moreover, Suyu would buy him clothes and shoes from time to time and even give him pocket money. Therefore, Anne knew that his boss was a loyal person. Suyu glanced at Anne and knew that he wasn't convinced. Then, he said, leave your wife to me. I'll definitely find you a good wife. When you get married, I'll pay for the house, car, and banquet. Chapter 45-77. Thank you, boss. Anne was a little excited. Although Suyu had always treated him well, there was no reason for him to take care of the entire banquet. Today's words are so blatant. Suyu's tone was still so firm, but when he heard his boss say that, his heart warmed. Io, it's getting late. You can go next door and sleep. I need to rest too. Okay, boss. You can rest first. And left the ward. Before he left, he didn't forget to give the boss a peach. Although he didn't peel it clearly, he was reminding Suyu to eat some fruit out of goodwill. Suyu didn't like sweet things, but he wanted to eat it today. It hadn't been long since he transmigrated, but his relationship with Mian had developed so quickly. He was confident that if the records were true, he was confident that he could open up Huamin's heart. After all, everyone's heart was made of flesh, and no one had a heart of stone. At this thought, Suyu limped down the stairs. He took the peach to peel it. When he came back, he lay on the bed and ate the peach happily. As he ate, he actually felt blissful. He felt that the peach was very delicious. After eating a peach, he played with his phone for a while. Suyu felt tired, then, he leaned against the headboard and fell asleep unknowingly. In a daze, he seemed to have seen Master Wu. Master Wu was still dressed in a green robe, sitting cross-legged in a beautiful place. Suyu even felt like he could smell the fresh air. You're here. Master Wu smiled. Master. It's so good to see you again, Master Wu smiled. Don't smile. Really? I feel very close to you when I see you. This isn't a dream. I'm talking to you in a dream. When we wake up, we'll both remember the contents of the dream. Master, you're so powerful that you can travel through 2 worlds to find me? Suyu was surprised. The red string on your hand helped me a lot. I made it myself. How could I not find it? Suyu subconsciously looked at the red string on his wrist. Ever since he came back, he had been looking at it like a precious treasure, afraid that someone would touch it. Little donkey, how have you been recently? Very good. I've never felt so relaxed in my life. I'm happy. Suyu grinned. It was obvious that he was really, really happy. Then, do you have plans to go back? Go back. Master Wu's words stunned Suyu. He was not prepared for this. Although I can't do it now, I've already toured the country. I heard that there's an expert on Mount Jiuhua. I want to give it a try. I think there's a great chance. Didn't my physical body get cremated? How am I supposed to go back? You can reincarnate and return to the Su family. Forget it, forget it. My mother is already so old and her health isn't very good. I don't want to torture her like that. Then I'll find you a new host, one who looks and is similar to you. No, that wouldn't be me, Suyu. Don't find excuses. I feel like you don't want to go back. With just a few words, Master Wu saw through Suyu's thoughts. Suyu chuckled. Master, to be honest, I'm doing very well in this parallel world. I hope I can stay here for the rest of my life. I don't want to go back. Even if my physical body is still here, I don't want to go back. I don't want to be sandwiched between Mian and Qin Chu. Their family is already very happy. By the way, Mian's child is born, right? Yes, it's a brat called Qin Yuyao. It has the same pronunciation as mine. Huh, what a good name. This child is lucky. Yes, so what about you? Do you have any other wishes? I will try my best to help you. Master Wu felt very guilty. Although he had only known Suyu for a short time, he still had a deep relationship with him, especially after seeing what Suyu had done for everyone. Master, I really do have an unfulfilled wish. Suyu approached Master Wu and said word by word. Chapter 45-78. Tell me, kid. As long as I can do it, I'll do my best to help you. Master Wu didn't want to cry during such a precious meeting with Suyu in his dream, so he held back his tears. Suyu hesitated for a long time before saying slightly, Master, speak. Can you help me erase everyone's memories of me? Suyu's voice was very soft. However, Master Wu still heard him clearly. You. Master Wu didn't expect Suyu to do this. I know that after I leave, my family and friends will be in pain. My grandfather is already so old, and he still has to send his grandson off. My mother's health isn't good, and if she continues to be depressed, I'm afraid she won't be able to hold on for long. Although my father doesn't say it and is very strict, he is full of love for me. Mian might not be able to get over it. When the time comes, she will have a grudge against Qin Chu, which will be even worse. She never loved me to begin with. Don't make it seem like my death will be passed down for eternity. That's not my original intention, so you want to erase everyone's memories of you? Master Wu looked at Suyu. Yes. Do you know that if you erase these memories, then you'll never exist in that world? No one will remember you, including your 2 most loved ones, Pudding and Little Bean. I know, it's better to forget than to continue to suffer. I'm really happy in this world. I can see my brothers, my family, and the girl I love. I don't want anything else, but I can't harm everyone. Do you have to be so ruthless to yourself? Master Wu felt that he had never seen someone as ruthless to himself as Su Yu. Everyone else asked their family to remember them, afraid that they would be forgotten. Su Yu's request for everyone to forget about him would reduce a lot of pain. This idea was indeed shocking. Master, please help me, or rather, let everyone be free. After Su Yu finished speaking, he knelt down and kowtowed 3 times to Master Wu. Master Wu's eyes were red. Who said that the sons of rich families were immoral? Who said that the sons of rich families were not filial? Su Yu, this kid, had done a series of things. He had already reached a height that many so-called good people would never be able to reach in their lifetime. Get up. What are you doing? Master, I actually feel bad for my grandpa and Mian. I heard that it was my grandpa who ordered the euthanasia. His heart must have been in so much pain. Ever since I was a kid, my grandpa has always doted on me. My grandpa is a righteous man, but he only dotes on me. I heard that Mian gave me the injection herself. She must have been devastated. She must have felt guilty and sorry for me. Yes, her wedding with Qin Chu has been postponed indefinitely. I can see that Huamin is very sad. On the anniversary of your death, she even carried the little guy to pay respects to you. That's why I said that I don't want everyone to work so hard for me. I'm already someone who doesn't exist in that world. I don't want to leave in the end and still feel uneasy, dragging them down. Then, do you really have the heart to let everyone forget about you? Yes, as long as they're happy, so what if they forget about me? Su Yu smiled, but it was obvious that there was a hint of bitterness in his smile. So, Master, please. You're an expert, you must have a way. There is a way, but they definitely won't be willing. Master Wu sighed. Then don't let them know. Maybe when they wake up one morning, they won't remember Su Yu anymore. Okay, but I have a condition. Master Wu looked at Su Yu and emphasized his words. Chapter 45-79. Go ahead, Master. Get up first, I'll talk. Master Wu really couldn't bear to see this guy kneel in front of him like an obedient child. Actually, Su Yu was the most disobedient disciple. He didn't let him enter the dream a second time, but he still went. He knew that he would die, but he still went. Everyone was back, but he was the only one who stayed in that lonesome place for so long. In the end, it was the Su family's old master who gave the order. Once they opened their mouths, they would die. He gave Su Yu a way out. Hearing Master Wu's words, Su Yu stood up slightly. I only have one request. I don't want to forget you. If I forget, you'll disappear from that world completely. Master Wu's words touched Su Yu and made him want to cry. Master, fine, don't cry. I'm not here to see you whine. I'll ask you one last time, are you sure you're not going back to that world? Yes, I'm not going back. I want to stay here. Su Yu turned around resolutely. He firmly believed that it might not be a good thing for him to go back. If he went back, he would be sandwiched between Qin Chu and Huamin, making things difficult for the couple. Now that he could have Mian all to himself here, why would he go back? He had his family and buddies here, so there was no difference. Most importantly, Han Yueyao wasn't the woman Su Yu liked. Even if the whole world thought that they were compatible, what could he do if he didn't love her? Love was so magical. Su Yu had lived for others his entire life. When he was young, for the glory of his family, he went to the special forces in his teens and suffered a lot. When he grew up, he didn't want to be a second-generation heir and rely on his parents, so he founded his own company and was self-sufficient. Then, he met Huamin and loved him for many years. But in the end, he didn't get a response from Huamin. They were still friends. As for Han Yueyao, she was just as tragic as him, falling in love with someone she shouldn't have. Fortunately, Han Yueyao was still young. Without him, she would have to marry someone in the future. Su Yu had been giving selflessly all his life. Now, he was tired. He wanted to live for himself. He wanted everyone to give him a way out. He didn't want to go back and be a bachelor for the rest of his life, nor did he want to marry a woman he didn't love. Life shouldn't be like this. It wasn't easy for her to leave that heart-wrenching world and start a new life. I really don't want to go back anymore, Master, this time. I want to be a selfish person. I want to live for myself. Suyu said. Master Wu nodded. Then I'll ask you one last question. Are you sure you don't want anyone to remember you? Yes, I don't want them to feel the pain of losing me. To me, I've already been reborn in this parallel world. I don't have any conflicts with that world. Qin Shu and Mian are doing well in that world, and they have 3 children. Old Wei and Old Tang have their own families as well. I'm just sorry for my family. So, Master, please help them forget about me. Please, okay, I promise you, Master Wu said firmly. Thank you, Master. Suyu couldn't help but kowtow 3 more times. I won't come back to see you in your dreams anymore. If you break this connection, you won't be able to contact that world anymore. I know. Suyu nodded. Take care of yourself in the future. You too, Master. Master Wu wanted to say something, but his figure had already turned into specks of starlight. Suyu suddenly woke up from his dream. He couldn't describe how he felt. He looked at his phone. It was 1 in the morning. Chapter 45-80. When Suyu woke up, he saw the ceiling of the ward. However, thinking about what happened just now, it might not have been a dream. After all, he couldn't have dreamed of his master for no reason. The last time he saw his master, they were talking about the parallel world. So this time, his master might have entered a dream with him. Suyu looked at the red string on his wrist and felt a lot more comforted. Suddenly, he couldn't fall asleep. He picked up his phone, thought for a moment, and added Huamin. He thought that even if he was rejected, it would be tomorrow morning. However, to his surprise, Huamin accepted it immediately. Suyu was dumbfounded. Suyu, didn't your account get hacked? Huamin, only you can ask such an idiotic question. Suyu, you finally added me, happy. Huamin, look at how tiger-like you are. Suyu, for you, so what if I'm tiger-like once? Huamin, don't talk nonsense. Why aren't you sleeping at night? Are you harassing the girls on WeChat one by one? Sending a group message? Suyu, am I such a tasteless person? Huamin, you are. Suyu, Mian, it's so late. Why aren't you asleep? Do you miss me too much? Do you want to move in with me? Huamin, move your head. Suyu, don't misunderstand. This is a suite. There's a separate guest room. My mom stayed there when she was first hospitalized. Huamin, if I move there, South Side will explode. Suyu, that's good. If it explodes, we'll build a new hospital. Huamin, Suyu, is your fever still not gone? Suyu, yeah, it's still 39.8 degrees. Huamin, really? Liar, you're a husky. Suyu, if you're happy, you can even call me a teddy bear. Huamin, you're a man, aren't you disgusting? Is it good to say such sweet words? Suyu, good, very good. I like it. Huamin, I'm going to sleep. Suyu, Emisham, good night. Huamian didn't reply, but Suyu felt warm inside. She had added him. Perhaps it was because they had spent more time together tonight, so Huamian didn't want to be so cruel. Huamian went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and checked her phone. Suyu, Suyu was indeed a person with an illustrious identity, but Huamin thought to himself. Firstly, he didn't seduce him, and secondly, he didn't borrow money. It should be fine to add him on WeChat. That was why he accepted it with such a calm heart. She didn't expect Suyu to be as excited as a husky. He was still full of energy at night. Later on, she was so sleepy that she didn't reply to anything Suyu said. She went back to her room in a daze and fell asleep. The next morning, Suyu woke up early and stared at the window with a pair of binoculars to see when Mion would arrive. And, who was delivering breakfast, was shocked. "Boss, are you looking at Miss Hua?" Suyu only nodded and continued to look. "There are so many medical staff coming and going. Can you see clearly?" And found it too strange. "That's why I sent someone to deliver a pair of military binoculars." Suyu was full of confidence. And was so angry that he almost laughed. Who would use military binoculars to look at a girl? What a waste of this equipment. It cost tens of thousands, and it was specially used by the military. Now, the boss was like a silly dog, holding a pair of binoculars. All he knew was that he was looking at the girl he loved. Those who didn't know better would think that he was peeping at the old auntie taking a shower. "Boss, let's eat breakfast first. We'll look later." "Boss, you have to be good," and coaxed the boss. Chapter 45-81. Leave it there first. "I'm not hungry, so I won't eat it yet." Suyu was determined to see Huamin. He stood by the window more than an hour in advance. "Boss, it won't taste good if it gets cold." "It's okay, I'm not afraid of the cold. And, by the way, have you packed the food I asked you to pack?" "Yes. After their morning meeting, you can give it to Mion." "Okay." And nodded. At this moment, Suyu saw Huamin coming to work in casual clothes. Perhaps it was because of the warm weather, she was only wearing a white short-sleeved shirt, a pair of jeans, and flat shoes. The bag she was carrying wasn't a big brand, but it was in a good style. It wasn't ostentatious, but it was elegant. Huamin had a simple ponytail today and walked in with her colleagues. They were chatting and laughing. Suyu watched them attentively, afraid that he would miss a shot. The military binoculars were extremely powerful. After zooming in, he could even see the tiny mole on Huamin's face. Suyu didn't put down the binoculars until Huamin walked into the building. Then, he went into the bathroom to wash his hands before coming out to eat. His appetite had been inexplicably good these few days. The hot buns, soup, and pickled vegetables that An bought were all delicious. It was made at a breakfast restaurant that Suyu often went to. After the morning meeting, Huamin returned to the duty station. It was the day shift today. And walked over with the packed breakfast in his hand. "Miss Hua." Huamin saw An and nodded politely. "Hello. My boss asked me to give this to you. Please enjoy." With that, An put down the things and ran away. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to report back if Miss Hua rejected him. "Hey." Huamin wanted to say something, but it was too late. She opened the food box and saw crystal shrimp dumplings, a box of fresh dumplings, 2 hot sesame seed cakes, some side dishes, and a bowl of soup. This was an incomparably luxurious breakfast. The nurse next to him stole a glance. "Io, isn't this the most famous breakfast restaurant? It's very expensive. The last time I went to eat with my boyfriend, it wasn't that expensive. It only cost more than 300 yuan. Yours should cost more than 500 yuan, at least." Huamin rubbed his forehead awkwardly. "Mion, wasn't that young Master Su's driver? Young Master Su gave that to you, right? Oh my god. Young Master Su likes you?" Huamin didn't know what to do with his colleague's shock. Wasn't Suyu being a little overzealous towards her? When the nurse said that, a few people who were chatting nearby also heard it and ran over. They surrounded Huamin and breakfast. "Sister Mion, what's going on?" "Sister Mion, it's really a gift from young Master Su. Young Master Su is so nice to you. Yeah, Sister Mion, if you become successful, don't forget about us." Huamin, cough, cough, cough. "Everyone, calm down. It's not what you think." Suyu and I didn't know each other before. It's not because he's a very delicate person. I only went to his clinic because he has high requirements for injections. Besides, he had a fever yesterday and I was the one who prescribed the fever medicine. I think he's just thanking me. He's just rich and generous. Maybe he'll donate 3 to 5,000 yuan to a beggar on the street. So, in his eyes, this breakfast probably isn't as good as his golden retrievers, Huamin explained awkwardly. Then we want to eat like the golden retriever. Mian, I heard that if young Master Su likes someone, that person will be rich. You have to seize the opportunity, I have faith in you. After explaining so much, no one believed him. They kept talking about how she and Suyu were doing. Huamin was exhausted. He wasn't in the mood to eat breakfast, so he shared it with everyone. After a while, at 10 a.m., Huamin went to Suyu's ward in his white coat. Suyu. I have something to tell you. Chapter 4582. Suyu was washing his face and shaving when he heard Huamin's voice. He ran out of the bathroom in the middle of shaving with a razor in his hand. What's wrong? Ahem. I'll talk to you later. Seeing that Suyu was in such a hurry, Huamin felt a little embarrassed and wanted him to finish first. Okay, wait for me. Suyu turned around and ran into the bathroom. He came out in 3 minutes. He sat on the sofa across from Huamin and looked at her. What? You don't want to pass and want to marry me? Suyu teased her. Don't mess around. I'm here to tell you not to let your assistant bring me breakfast. What's wrong? Does it not taste good? No, it's easy to attract gossip, Huamian said directly. For example? Suyu asked her. Huamin blushed and lowered her head. My colleagues misunderstand and think that there's something going on between us. Are you kidding me? Do you think my taste is that bad? Huamin looked up at Suyu in surprise. You're a little nurse and I'm a super rich man. There's a huge difference in status. That's true. Huamin wasn't angry and said calmly. I asked my assistant to buy breakfast to thank you for helping me get rid of my fever yesterday. I heard that you didn't want the money, so I wanted to buy something. It's nothing, don't take it to heart. Even my bodyguards eat more than you. This is a luxury for poor people like you, but it's nothing to me. Okay, I'm overthinking it. Emicham, I know that you're a professional, Miss Hua. I chose you because I trust your skills. I've heard about your performance at the first hospital. I'll have to continue to trouble you while I'm hospitalized. If you need anything, just let me know. I don't need anything. This is my job as a nurse. With that, Huamin turned around and left. He seemed a little lonely. Suyu's earlier enthusiasm really gave her the illusion that he liked her. However, Suyu had also made it very clear just now. The reason why he was close to her was because she was professional enough. Huamin's suspicions were dispelled and he no longer thought about it. Instead, he felt much more at ease. After Huamin left, and hurriedly knocked on the door and entered. Boss, are you crazy? I'm fine. Suyu picked up an apple and started munching on it. And hurriedly snatched it and helped the boss wash and peel it. But I heard you scolding Miss Hua loudly when I was at the door. Reprimand? I don't think so. At most, I just talked to her. Then aren't your words too hurtful? Not only did the bodyguards at the door hear it, even the gossipy nurses heard it. I want them to hear it. Aren't you not giving Miss Hua face? And didn't understand what his boss was trying to do. I didn't. I'll have more chances to see Mian in the future. If I tell her that I like her, she'll avoid me from now on. I'm taking a step back in order to advance. Mian has a lot of pride and cares about what her colleagues think. I don't want her to be the scapegoat for no reason. After all, I'm the cause of this. And handed over the peeled apple and was even more confused. Boss, do you really like Miss Hua? I don't, Suyu answered straightforwardly. Then you're treating her like Sunday. Are you playing with her? And felt that his boss had gone overboard this time. Miss Hua was really a good person. Unexpectedly, Suyu said something that shocked him again. Chapter 4583. Suyu turned around and stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the ward. He looked out the window and said word by word, I don't just like her. I love her. I love her very much. And rarely saw his boss being so gentle. Basically, Suyu would only be gentle to his mother. But this kind of tone, this kind of gentleness, was something that had never happened before. It did not seem like he was spouting nonsense. Boss, you've only known her for a short time, and you're already talking about love. Isn't this a little, and did not have a girlfriend, so he could not understand. His boss had only known the nurse for a few days, and he mentioned that he loved her very much. Many people said that love at first sight was not about the person, but about the face. If you were good looking, the other party would have a good impression of you if you went on a blind date. However, and thought about it carefully, Miss Hua did not belong to the category of stunning beauty. Her face could only be considered delicate and pleasant to look at. She was well-dressed and had a high EQ. In the past few years, Star King Entertainment had been at its peak. The female artistes who joined were all big shots. There were also a few who were groomed by Suyu himself. Zhao Qingya, Jian Tong, Nia Lingxian, and some of the rising female groups were all youthful and beautiful. All of them beat this nurse in terms of looks, but why did the boss, even though An had been with Suyu for many years, he could not understand. Suyu took a bite of the apple, turned around, and smiled slightly. Do you believe in déjà vu? Shaoan seemed to be a little confused. Although I haven't known her for long, I have a strong sense of familiarity. I think she should be the woman I loved deeply in my previous life. Suyu's words were about his previous life. With Anne's level of education, he could not understand. Suyu did not tell An too much. He would probably be even more confused if he told him about the parallel world. Therefore, he directly talked about the déjà vu theory and his previous life. And suddenly felt that his boss was different from before. After waking up from the car accident, he felt that he was much more mature and steady than before. The most important thing was that the moment he opened his mouth, it was all kinds of chicken soup for the soul. And was still puzzled. His boss's CT scan showed that his brain was not injured at all. But why does it feel different from before? After that breakfast, Suyu didn't take extra care of Huamin anymore. He knew Huamian too well. If he did too much, too shameless, it would arouse her suspicion and disgust. Therefore, he decided to take a step back in order to advance. He didn't want to push the brat too hard. It would be troublesome if that happened. Sure enough, Suyu behaved normally for the past few days, and Huamin was more at ease. She came to check on Suyu on time, gave him an injection, gave him medicine, and reminded him to go for regular checkups. Another 3 days passed in the blink of an eye tonight. Huamin is on the night shift. At 8:00 in the evening, she came to check the wards. Suyu had already laid down to rest early, obediently lying in the ward. Do you have any activities today? Yes, I did. I went for a walk in the garden in the morning and at noon. I think my leg is fine now. Huamin nodded. Although a ligament injury is not a small matter, you have to be careful in the future. Don't do strenuous exercise. What do you mean by strenuous exercise? Suyu asked her on purpose. Huamin understood immediately. She coughed lightly and said, ahem. I'm talking about running, skipping rope, playing basketball. You can't do those. It takes 100 days to recover from a ligament injury. You have to take good care of yourself. Oh. It seems like I misunderstood. I thought I would have to hold it in for a long time, Suyu said naturally. Suyu was so direct that Huamin blushed even more. Mian, your face is so red. Are you wearing too much? Suyu continued to show concern. Chapter 45-84. Suyu, stop talking nonsense. Huamin was so angry that he pointed at his nose and scolded. Ha ha ha, calm down. Come, sit here. I'll peel an apple for you. I don't want an apple. I want durian. Huamin was still angry. You have a strong taste. Why do you care? I don't care, I don't dare to care. I'll send someone to buy it now. And boss, what can I do for you? And entered the ward immediately. Buy durian for our nurse. Durian. Shaoan hesitated for a moment. I want the best variety. How many? Before Huamin could say anything, Suyu made a decision. Buy as many as you can. Suyu, you're crazy. Huamin was surprised. Don't you want to eat it? I'm eating it myself, not wholesale. Can I eat so much? Just buy one. No, one is too little. Then buy a box. I remember that there are 6 in a box. Okay, boss. After receiving the order, and turned around and left like a gust of wind. Only Suyu and Huamin were left in the ward. Suyu glanced at the fruit baskets piled up like a small hill. Can you take these out and share them with everyone later? Why? You can keep them for yourself or give them to your bodyguards and assistant. They're tired of eating them. Huamin was speechless. Can I apply to be your bodyguard? I have enough bodyguards. I still need a wife. Do you want to try? Forget it. I don't have the fortune. Every time Suyu joked about this, Huamin would tactfully refuse, or even directly refuse. Suyu picked up an imported orange and peeled it for Huamin. Then, he even removed all the white silk inside. In the end, a clean orange was handed to Huamin. Wow! Are you a Virgo? So powerful. As a Virgo, even Huamin did not have that much patience. She had peeled the tangerine into such a perverted state. No. Suyu denied with a smile. Huamin didn't say anything. Instead, he lowered his head and ate the orange silently. She didn't know if it was because it was expensive or if it was just a psychological effect, but for some reason, she felt that this orange was very sweet. Is it good? Suyu sat opposite her, looking at her seriously and asking gently. Huamin nodded, but he still didn't dare to raise his head. Mian, I'm leaving the hospital tomorrow. So fast? Well, since you've recovered, I can't stay here. Otherwise, you won't like me. Nonsense. If I didn't like you, would I serve you like an ancestor? Huamin retorted. Then. So, you like me? Don't talk nonsense. I just think that we're fated to be friends. Do you have a lot of friends of the opposite sex? Suyu was slightly jealous. Not a lot. I don't have many friends, Huamin said honestly. What about Ning Ziyuan? Come on. You can even kill the conversation. Are you looking for death? Why do you keep mentioning that scumbag? Huamin was furious at the mention of Ning Ziyuan. Suyu also checked. In this parallel world, there were some differences between this world and the other one. In that world, Ning Ziyuan married Wu Xiaoxue and had a daughter. Later, he emigrated abroad and lived a peaceful life. However, in this world, he was with a nurse named He-Man. It was also because of this that Huamin was transferred from the first hospital to South Side. It was said that she was already discussing marriage with Huamin. Later, he cheated on the nurse and got her pregnant. The nurse, He-Man, refused to abort the child, and the whole city knew about it. Huamin broke up with him and slapped that guy, cutting off all ties with him. Speaking of which, Huamin was quite pitiful to be betrayed by such a scumbag. I just want to say that guy is blind. But I thank him. Suyu smiled mysteriously. Chapter 4585. Huamin froze slightly but didn't say anything. Suyu continued, that kid doesn't know what's good for him. What's that saying again? People don't know what's good for them, they mistake pearls for dust. Okay, stop praising me. Actually, a normal man would make the same choice. I've been with Ning Ziyuan for 3 years, but I've never been nice to him. I've always been indifferent to him. He man is younger than me, prettier than me. She has big breasts. I heard that she comes from a good family. Anyway, it's normal for him to cheat on her. You're still speaking up for scumbags? Suyu was slightly surprised. No, I just think that there's nothing wrong with him doing this before we get married. If he cheats on me after we get married, wouldn't I be ruined? Yeah, you're right. Anyway, I'm grateful to Ning Ziyuan for being blind and giving me a chance. Suyu smiled. Don't talk nonsense. Huamin lowered his head and continued eating his orange. Mian, yeah? Does Hua Xichen harass you often? Why do you ask? Huamin was surprised. I'm just asking. I heard that he's very perverted and even seduced female artists under my company. Don't you often seduce him too? Huamin's words almost made Suyu choke to death. Ahem. Let's not talk about the past anymore. That's only what people see on the surface. The current me is the real me. Suyu said seriously. Now? You who seduced a nurse? Huamin laughed. Fuck. Can't we have a pleasant conversation? You just said that I could kill a conversation. Let's see if you can make a conversation come back to life. Huamin laughed. He felt that Suyu was actually quite humorous. Suyu looked at her smile and was instantly satisfied. He remembered that when he finally left that world, everyone had fallen into a nightmare. At that time, Huamin was already 9 months pregnant, but her face was full of worry. Suyu couldn't remember the last time he saw Huamin smile so brightly. Therefore, when she saw Huamin smile, she suddenly felt that all the suffering she had suffered in the past was worth it. What are you looking at? Is there something on my face? Seeing Suyu staring at him in a daze, Huamin felt a little uncomfortable. Yes, there's orange water. Really? Huamin quickly got up and looked at himself in the mirror. You even believed my lies. Idiot. Suyu's little trick worked, and he couldn't help but laugh. Huamin reflexively threw a punch at him. Fortunately, Suyu reacted in time. He stretched out his hand and caught the smelly girl's fist. It was the first time their hands had been in such intimate contact. Suyu only felt a cold sensation in his palm. It was a familiar feeling that he hadn't felt in a long time, but he also felt very happy. Even his heartbeat sped up. Huamin felt the same way. When she was with Ning Ziyuan, the number of times they held hands was very few. She was a clean freak and hated physical contact with others, even if it was a girl. However, Zhu Lingling was an exception. She was her best friend. When Huamin realized what had happened, he quickly withdrew his hand, feeling a little embarrassed. I couldn't tell. You're quite a scheming person. You took advantage of me when you were about to hit me. My tender hands were destroyed by your iron fists. Suyu was making a false accusation. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Your skin is as thick as tempered glass. You have the nerve to say that? You obviously did it on purpose, Huamin retorted. I was just defending myself, big sister. You obviously reached out your hand to violate me. Luckily, I reacted quickly. Otherwise, I would have been pinned to the bed and executed on the spot. Huamin. Chapter 4586. Feeling awkward, Huamin cleverly changed the topic. Suyu, what did you just ask me? Suyu. Hua Min's train of thought was amazing, even though she didn't have Professor Lu and Dr. Lin Ye's excellent genes in this world. However, Hua Min's genes couldn't be underestimated. Hua Min was still very smart. Oh, right, I remember, you just asked me if Hua Xiqian harassed me. Suyu, do you know what our relationship is? Hua Min deliberately asked. Blood-related siblings. Suyu only dared to be so confident after he had done his research. Hua Min nodded. To be precise, we're half-siblings. Hua Xiqian is Hua Zhenghai's first wife, and my mother is the mistress. Speaking of this, Hua Min's expression was a bit complicated. It took guts to be able to say that one's mother was a mistress so bluntly. It was better than those green tea bitches who insisted that there was nothing wrong with being a mistress. Suyu quickly tried to smooth things over for her. You can't say that. I heard that Hua Zhenghai and your mother fell in love and lived together. Hua Xiqian's mother was forced into a marriage arranged by the family. The despicable one is Hua Zhenghai. He was already married, but he lied to your mother, saying that it was true love. He said that he would divorce. In the end, he didn't do anything when she gave birth to you. Then, your mother resolutely remarried with you. Hua Zhenghai felt humiliated and never acknowledged you as his daughter. So, you can't blame your auntie. I don't care about being acknowledged by the Hua family. I don't care about his wealth. My stepfather is very good to me. I have a little brother now, and our family of 4 is very happy. I understand. Anyways, no matter what, I'll support your decision, as long as you're happy. Suyu began to stir up emotions. Hua Min chuckled. What are you laughing at? I'm serious. Suyu tilted his head and looked at her. Hua Min continued to joke around. Who do you think you are? You support me no matter what. Don't you think you're being too friendly? No, I know. I will definitely become your husband, so your business is my business. Shameless. Hua Min laughed. For you, I can be shameless. As the saying goes, as long as you take me seriously, your business is my business. If you don't take me seriously. After that, Suyu glanced at Hua Min. Hua Min stared at him without blinking. Hua Min knew what the second half of the sentence was. It all depended on what Suyu said. Suyu hesitated for a moment and then said, if you don't take me seriously, I'll take you seriously. Upon hearing this, Hua Min burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? I'm serious. I can spoil you unconditionally, until I die. Don't talk nonsense. How young are you? Why would you die? Hua Min didn't seem to want to hear these unlucky words. Suyu sighed in his heart. Mian, I've already died for you in that world once. I hope you won't let me down this time. Suyu, did you use your glib tongue to trick those girls? Do you look down on me that much? Suyu looked proud. What else? Hua Min crossed his arms. Of course, they came to me voluntarily. In the end, it's all for money. I've never mistreated anyone. Aren't you afraid that I'm also doing it for money? Hua Min asked him. Suyu's eyes lit up. Do you mean you agree to be with me? Chapter 4587. Hua Min was speechless. Mian, is that true? Really? Suyu instantly turned into a husky and looked at Hua Min pitifully. Before Hua Min could finish speaking, and barged in. Boss, I bought the durians. Fortunately, I arrived in time, or else they would have sold them out. There's a box in total, but this one is bigger, so there are only 4 in it. However, it's very delicious. I tried the sample in the box next to it. And rushed in excitedly. Suyu raised his hand and pointed at him. You don't have this month's salary. And was speechless. Hua Min was speechless. And looked aggrieved. Boss, why? I did well. I did whatever you told me to do. I even bought the durians, and you're still treating me like this. You came in at the wrong time. Suyu was so angry that his head hurt. Just as he felt that he had made some progress with Huamian, this brat barged in like a hothead and interrupted Huamin's words. However, Huamin didn't want to say anything. It would be a lie to say that he had fallen for Suyu in the past few days. Huamin wasn't that impulsive. He had always liked to take things slowly. Huamin took the opportunity to stand up. And, give me the durians. I'll carry them back myself. No. I've already made a mistake. If I let you carry them back, I'll be fired. And finally understood how important Miss Hua was. How was she a nurse? She was a god, she was an immortal who could make Suyu submit to her. Seeing that Suyu didn't retort, and quickly helped Huamin carry the durians out. Suyu, thank you for the durians. If you marry me, I'll buy you a box a day, Suyu joked. Pfft. Am I that cheap? You think a box of durians is enough? Huamin rolled his eyes. As long as you're willing, what's mine is yours. What's yours is still yours. Imperial Star Entertainment will be yours. My billion-dollar fortune will be yours. My mansion and car will be yours, and you can continue to be a nurse. As long as you're happy. In a moment of desperation, Suyu confessed, although it still sounded like a joke. Ahem. Boss, a man has to have integrity, and reminded. I don't have integrity, I just want my wife. I'm not talking nonsense. Boring. Feeling awkward, Huamian turned to leave before he could say anything else. Huamian's Hua, Huamian after Huamin, Hua, Huamian, Hua. He took out his phone and video called his mother. You. Mrs. Su's face was filled with tenderness. Mom, I'll be discharged tomorrow. So sudden. Mom will pick you up tomorrow morning. No. I want to be discharged quietly. Don't let anyone come. What's wrong, son? Are you unhappy at Southside? Is someone rude to you? No. Southside is great. I don't want to be discharged. Don't say such unlucky things. Why do you have to stay in the hospital? Lady Su was superstitious and didn't think the hospital was good. I'm joking. Mom. I miss you a lot. Silly child. How's Grandpa? Grandpa isn't back yet. He'll probably be in Jing City next week. What about Dad? Your dad is still on a business trip in Hong Kong. Mom. You must be lonely. There are only 4 people in the Su family, and none of the 3 men are home. Suyu felt sorry for his mother. After living a new life, he had to cherish his family even more. It's okay, I'm used to it. Mom, I'll be discharged tomorrow. I want to go home for dinner, and then I'll accompany you to Pear Garden to watch opera, Suyu said. I thought you didn't like Beijing opera? Lady Su was surprised. But Mom, you like it. I'll accompany you. Suyu's words warmed Lady Su's heart. Why did you suddenly? Are you in a relationship? Lady Su knew her son better. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.